every single year, at least until we get back into a situation where we're going to be preseason top 15 on everybody's list. Then you get some early offseason love. But when you're just outside the top 25 or just inside the top 25, these are the years where people start saving their hot takes for. These are the weeks where people start saving their hot takes for. We'll talk about that. We've got some basketball recruiting stuff to get to. I feel like there's always like a little basketball recruiting stuff. We've also got the official start of the 2025-2026 Louisville athletic season is a mere 5 hours away, a little bit less than 5 hours away. That's exciting. We got the women's soccer team in action tonight at Auburn, the first contest of the 2025-2026 U of L athletic season. So we're good to go. The ball is rolling now. We're excited about that. We've got a couple other.
Predict every Louisville team's record, Mike. Every sport.
That's okay. We're not going to do that.
Why?
Hour number 2. It's like, how do you predict I don't even know what the swim schedule is. Like, they're going to come in 4th at this meet. They're going to come in 1st.
We'll have 7 top 3s. We'll have 7 podiums, Mike. We should win 2 events all around.
I also kept, every single indoor and outdoor track and field event. Yeah, we're going to. In the
athlete, what place they'll come in at every race.
In the preliminary heat, in this meet, this guy's going to come in 6th place. It'll be keeping track of, because I always do. I like to give the other Louisville sports as much shine as I can on the website. So I always give, if there's a result or a notable thing that's happened, I always give them a mention on news and notes. And even keeping track of things that way, it's really tough to figure out like what's going on with the track and field season. I never know. Is this the actual NCAA championships, or is this like the fall season, or is this it's very
prelims count?
Swimming's the same way. Like I'm like, is this the biggest meet of the year? Like I have no idea what's going on. The schedule is very, very tough to figure out. And then with some of these other sports, you've got with golf, you've got a fall season and a spring season. The spring season's the one that actually counts, but the fall season, they still go in the official record. But it's very, very tough to figure out once you get into some of the other sports out there. But that'd be a tough show. That would take us the full 3 hours. I have no doubt. Roman, how was your Wednesday night, buddy? How's Thursday been?
Wednesday night was good. Didn't get into anything too much at all. Thursday's been pretty good as well. Not too eventful, but having a good time.
That's good.
Yep.
I feel like the volume and everything sounds better here today. We've got the new equipment in here.
Figured it all out.
Did you, or did somebody else?
Well, I just figured out where I'm supposed to have the levels and where I'm supposed to have the
okay, that's good. That's need to know information. Someone messed with our bobbleheads yet again today.
I think that's a thing.
Oh, of course it's a thing.
We knew it was, but Scoots has been like purposely trying to hear what you're saying about it. He asked, "What did Mike say about the bobbleheads today?" Or yesterday, this morning. He asked about what you said about it yesterday. So somebody's like doing this, and they're keeping tabs on your reactions. I feel like.
Look, Scoots has a track record here. There's a history on this. When we had the great bobblehead heist of 2023, which was my Elizabeth the Cookie Lady autographed bobblehead got stolen from the OG Studios, Scoots, he swore on his life, on his family's life, on Bob Knight's life. He swore on everybody that he cares about, on all of their lives, that he had nothing to do with it, that he didn't know what was going on. And come to find out, it was John Spears had taken it, and he was holding it hostage. And it came down to the golf scramble, where Spears was like, if your team beats our team, I'll give you the bobblehead back. If you don't, I don't even remember what the alternative was. I knew we were going to win. But during the scramble, Scoots, who I'm riding in a cart with, who's on my team, reveals that he knew about this the whole time. He was in on it the whole time. I've got trust issues with Scoots when it comes to this sort of thing. I'm not sure that he's not at fault here, or that he's not directing Michael Bennett on how to move these things. So today we've got, it looks like Muhammad Ali is about to knock out Nick Lodolo. That's what we've got today. They've moved Muhammad Ali, so he's about to punch Nick Lodolo in the face as Lodolo's about to deliver a pitch. Now, we've only got 5 bobbleheads, so the amount of options that they've got to mix and match here, they've blown their load, so to speak, very, very early on this by doing 3 different variations on 3 days. You've only got like 3 total variations that you can do left. So good luck keeping that fresh. But As of today, as of right now, Muhammad Ali. I mean, Lodolo's on the injured list for God's sake. He's got a blister on his left thumb. Let him heal. And Muhammad Ali's about to punch him in the face. Ridiculous over here. These damn children in the station. It's absurd.
This might be a dumb question.
Okay.
Why can't he just like put some tape over the blister?
It would dramatically affect his ability to throw if you have some tape over the blister. One, it's not going to keep the blister from being an issue. Two, you don't get the same type of friction when you're trying to throw a breaking pitch if you've got a Band-Aid on that area. I think I talked about this when it happened. This has been a recurring issue for him. Like, he's had blisters that have kept him out of the lineup for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And I think it was before last season, they tried to combat this by having him hold the ball differently when he threw breaking pitches. And unfortunately, like his curveball wasn't curving as much, slider wasn't sliding as much, and he was just getting roped. And so he went back. Basically, he was like, I can either suck and not have blisters and stay healthy, or I can be really good, but run the risk of getting blisters on my left thumb that make it impossible for me to pitch. And he's done the latter, and now he's on the injured list. But he's about to come back. And we've decided, we being the Reds, that it's going to be Chase Burns is going to be the odd man out. Moving on in the rotation. Nick Martinez has been great. They're leaving him in the rotation. Hunter Green came back last night, Roman. He shoved, as the kids say, looked terrific. And when Lodolo comes back, I believe they're going to just limit Chase Burns for the rest of this season at least to bullpen duty. The Reds, Roman, 1 game out of the wild card. 1 game. I've still never felt less confident. I mean, they played great last night. They looked fantastic. This is Miguel Andujar's team. I've been saying that for a couple of weeks now. He's the alpha now. He's the 4-hitter we've needed. He had a grand slam last night. And the Reds, after losing the game that looked like the most advantageous pitching matchup for them against the Phillies in Game 1, blowing it in the 8th inning, they come back. They win 2 games where they were underdogs. And this is what they do. They just, every time you're about to completely bail, they beat some really good teams somehow. And they're going to have to do it again this weekend because, my God, the greatest team in the history of baseball is coming to town in the Milwaukee Brewers. If you can take, this is a promise from me to you, Roman.
Okay.
I've been teetering. I've been walking the line for a long time. I'm paying attention, obviously. I'm watching all the games. I've got a little bit of hope, but I'm not buying in. You've noticed I still have not said the Reds are back in the last 2.5 months. I've not had a ton of confidence in this team's ability to actually be a realistic contender for the playoffs once we get to the money weeks in September. If they take 2 out of 3 against the Brewers this weekend, which is a colossal task at this point, I'm going to start to believe. I'm going to believe. They've got World Series pitching. They've got couldn't win the 6th region hitting. If they can get to a point where it's, we could win the 6th region with this offense, they can do some stuff. And then, we need the Mets to keep being the Mets and just fall off the face of the earth. They led 6-0 last night, Roman. They lost 11-6. They're pathetic. They're frauds. Or the Cubs need to lose like 20 games in a row. I'm still worried about the Cardinals there, too. They're getting healthy. I know they were sellers. They're still the Cardinals, though. They've got some voodoo magic going on. But we're right there. We're 1 game back. Off tonight. The Mets do play. We could come in the radio show tomorrow and be a half game back. A mere half game.
I love the convincing, Mike.
Well, I'm just saying. Get Sal Stewart up. Get rid of Austin Hayes forever. Get him out of my life. Santiago Espinal can go too. And let's roll. Let's ride. Sal Stewart's hit like 75 home runs for the Bats in the last 2 weeks, I feel like. Anyway, okay, I've talked about the Reds enough. Did not watch any snowfall last night. I think Mary's still like hanging on she's the RAPE scene. Just, it stuck with her a little bit. And with the kids going back to school, her emotions have been all over the place. We watched like the Valley reunion, which I can't do any more with the Valley. I can't do any more with these people. They're the worst people in the history of the world. I basically just like stared at my phone and ate dinner while that happened. But we didn't watch any more snowfall. Hopefully we can get back into it tonight. I'm excited for that. This is a weird thing now. So today was Virginia's 2nd day of kindergarten. And it was a weird deal. So John was in bed with me. Mary got up with Virginia. And John had gotten up way too early the day before, so we're trying to let him get some sleep. So Mary had just left with Virginia this morning before I got up. And then, I'm leaving for radio right before she gets out of school. So this is the first time in the 5 years that she's existed where like I have not seen Virginia. I have not seen her since I woke up. Won't see her till I get home around 6 o'clock. And it's a weird feeling. I don't like it. I don't love it. I guess this is going to be life more times than not with the kids getting older. My friends talk about the kids go to school, then they go home, then they hang out with their friends, and you see them for a grand total of like 30 minutes before it's time for them to go to sleep. And I don't love it. I'm not a big fan. I don't like this whole growing up deal, but we'll adjust. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Some basketball recruiting nuggets to get to. Some more positive football press to talk about. You guys in the Game Day Men's Health text line as well at 502-414-1450. Let's get into some Cardinal conversations after the break. This is the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical. 1450 96.1, The Big X.
Nevertheless, I smell a fresh rolling. It's like a cigarette. So
back in. Thursday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Reminder, United Mechanical, they are Louisville's MVP for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical plumbing, and refrigeration services. Call United Mechanical today at 502-339-1133. You can also visit them online at UnitedMechanicalInc.com. Roman, did you listen to the Taylor Swift podcast?
I saw a clip.
That's the extent of my knowledge as well. I saw that. I mean, everyone's like, they're going to announce their engagement. They're going to, like, she's pregnant. Like, all these gigantic, and it's like, no, it's just her album cover. That's it. But it is nuts. Jason Kelsey was like, in the first minute of this thing being out, we've had like a 1.25 million live listeners. It's absolutely, it's insane. It's outrageous. But apparently she likes to bake sourdough bread. That's what I've gotten out of this whole thing. 1.25 million people had to know instantly that she likes to bake sourdough bread. Will not be watching it. Will not be listening to it. But I'm fine. I like her. I like Jason Kelsey. I can stand Travis Kelsey for the. I like Travis Kelsey when he's not playing football. When he is playing football, I can't stand him. I think he's super corny. I think he's super obnoxious. He seems like a good enough guy off the field. There are players like that in various sports where when you hear their post-game interviews or you see what they're doing in their normal life, you're like, I like this guy. But I cannot, like Rafael Nadal was one of those guys for me growing up in tennis. I could not stand his on-court demeanor. I hated everything that he did. I hated the slow play. I hated the constant picking of his wedgies and all this stuff. And then off the court, seemed like a very good guy. Very easy to like. Big fan. Pedro Martinez, kind of the same way. Is there anybody like that for you that you're like, I feel like we'd be cool if we hung out, but I despise you when I watch you play actual sports?
Not too much. I guess, like, Jalen Brunson.
Oh, that's a good point. He seems like a good dude, but I can't stand the foul baiting.
Yeah. I feel like I had one more good one. Like Vinicius Jr.
I have no idea what that is. Is that soccer?
Yeah.
Gotta be
Real
soccer.
Madrid player.
Okay.
He's like, top of the.
He's good.
Yeah, really
Okay.
good.
All right.
But like, I understand his antics. I just hate it.
I'm with you there. Like, there are lots of people like that. That's kind of how Travis Kelce. I can't stand the Chiefs, even though there are a handful of personalities. Like, I think Andy Reid's a good dude. I like him. Kelsey seems normal enough. I liked Mahomes. I think his wife sucks. He's always seemed like a decent enough guy. But like, put them all together, and they're whining, and the way that they behave during actual games just makes them insufferable. That's how I feel. Anyway, yesterday was the second scrimmage of Louisville's fall camp season. The first one since we had the opener on Saturday. Louisville's going to scrimmage again on this Saturday, according to Jeff Brom's plans. We obviously this was not open to the public, so we don't have a lot of firsthand takes, but we did get a chance to hear from Miller Moss after the scrimmage. We did get a chance to hear from enemy of the show, Brian Brom, after the scrimmage. A handful of notable quotes that were put out there. I mean, I think that everybody is intrigued by the quarterback play across the country, regardless of if you know what you've got or you're kind of guessing. But for us specifically, the quarterback play is of the utmost importance and of the utmost intrigue because we've got a guy that got a chance at a big-time program last year and was good enough for the most part, but ultimately got benched because of his lack of consistency. And it's sort of, some people will say he was the scapegoat for USC having an underachieving season. Other people will say that he was the only reason why they had won the big-time games that they had won up to that point. Whether side A is correct or side B is correct is something that I feel like will ultimately be determined this season. So anytime you hear Miller Moss talk, anytime you hear Brian Brom talk about Miller Moss, it's notable. And here's some quotes. Brom was asked about, what you've seen from Miller and his progression in the 8 months that he got here. Because he was an early enrollee. We got him very quickly during the transfer portal segment of the offseason. And he said, ever since Miller got here in January, he's been full go, putting the offense in, him getting to know the guys, him getting acclimated to our system. He's really taken it by the horns, and he's done a great job for us. Brian's got the Jeff Brom talk just down to it. Brian was always doing this, even as like a 15-year-old kid. He had the media interviews down where he was like, I'm going to say stuff. I'm going to sound eloquent, but I'm not going to actually tell you anything. He also said, as far as Miller, And what I can say, what we've liked that we've seen from him, he's very accurate. He's very smart. He can handle a lot of volume on offense. Very accurate with the football. He tries to get the ball out of his hand quick. I think he's a guy that if you surround him with weapons, you surround him with pieces, he can be really good. I feel like we can read into that statement just a little bit, can't we?
A little bit.
Like there's a little bit of
Calling that squad out there last year weak.
yeah, but also like he's not going. He can put up college numbers like Tyler Shuck this season, but he's not going to be a top 40 NFL draft pick like Tyler Shuck because, I mean, you know, he says if you surround him with weapons, he can be really good. Which the implication there, I don't think Brian probably thought this way, but maybe it's a Freudian slip or something. The implication is, you know, he doesn't have the natural tools to just go out there and set the world on fire with a bunch of Jimmy and Joes. You know, he's very cerebral. He's accurate. He's a good decision maker. He's a student of the game. But if you're asking him to make a 65-yard throw on the dime, he's probably not going to be able to do that. Tyler Shuck kind of was able to do that a little bit last season. So it's what we've been saying this entire offseason. You've got two of the best running backs in the country. You've got a wide receiving core that has at least a couple of guys that can be game breakers. You have what should be a pretty good offensive line. You don't have to go out there and be, you know, vintage Baker Mayfield, vintage Lamar Jackson, vintage whoever, for Louisville to have a really good season. If he just has a full grasp of the offense and can do just enough to keep opposing defenses honest, the offense should be really good.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that's what Brian's saying there. Now Miller Moss was asked about, you know, the same types of things. Getting acclimated to the system here at Louisville, getting acclimated to a new program, getting out of California for the first time. And he said, you know, we were lifting pretty much every day over the course of the summer, and all of these guys on offense were willing to come in and after we lift, watch film together, come in on our off days and run some routes. The wide receivers are squatting heavy on Friday, and they're still coming in on Saturdays to run routes and stuff. They've had a ton of investment on their end. I think that's good to hear. It sounds. You know, we had the story that Alexis Cubitt wrote for the Courier a few weeks ago about the relationship between Moss and Chris Bell, who, despite coming from very different worlds, have they bonded over what was the Drake album, like the weird
the new one with
Mr. Love. It was like very it was a very like weird name.
It's some sexy songs for you.
Some sexy songs for you. Thank you. That is exactly what it was. Apparently, Chris Bell and Miller Moss both get down to some sexy songs for you. But and that, yeah, they built a relationship off that, and then their love of football and all this. It does sound like there's a good rapport between Moss and his wide receivers, which is important when you take into account like both Lacey, Chris Bell, Meeks, some other guys on this roster. They caught passes from Tyler Shuck last year. They caught passes from Jack Plummer the year before. Not Lacey, but Bell was on that team. It's tough to get acclimated to a different quarterback every single fall when you and the wide receivers are kind of the same way. So getting a head start on that, I think, is a good deal, and it sounds like everyone's done a good job there. And Brian Brom said the same thing. Said Miller's done a good job of getting to know all the guys within the team, and especially on offense. Everyone has their own different leadership styles, and he's done a good job of just being himself, being able to go up to guys, challenge them, talk to them about what he wants them to do on a certain play or what we're looking for in a certain play, and have good, productive conversations with our players. He's been a really good senior leader, a guy that's been there, has the experience. You can tell that just by being around him. I mean, everything we've heard about, I don't know if Moss is going to be – he reminds me a little bit of Plummer and Shuck when it comes to his leadership. He's a different personality than both those guys, but both Shuck and Plummer were more lead-by-example guys. I think Tyler was a little bit more fiery last year as the season went on. Mm-hmm. Some guys on offense talked about how he was just kind of an out-there personality, sort of off-the-wall, kind of crazy. Moss does not seem like that type of guy, but he does seem like he's got a little bit of that Cali swag. You know, like when things go right, I feel like Miller Moss isn't going to be afraid to, you know, celebrate with the boys, show off a little bit, talk a little bit of crap, and that's a leadership style in and of itself. I think having that confidence that you saw it last year, they beat LSU, And he's one of the guys in the locker room who's leading that. They did that Get the Gat dance that LSU had done at the White House and had the TikTok that went viral. They all, like, he's front and center in that video if you go back and watch it. And I think that can be a good thing as long as you can back it up. And that can be something that the rest of the guys on offense feed off of, especially if they've not played an actual game with you just yet. Moss got asked about fall camp so far, and he said, I think it's been good, especially just because you have your entire team here now. Excuse me, with the spring portal window and how that works nowadays. You don't have your full team in spring. Seeing what the entire offense and defense looks like together in its final full form before we go into the season has been cool. I think we've grown a lot as a team, especially offensively. Obviously, a lot more work to do, but I'm really excited about that. Also said, getting to know the Jeff Brom offense starting in January and then seeing the new wrinkles that they've put in place over the course of the last 8 months. He says, it's been cool to see how it's evolved. Obviously, coming in the winter and seeing that huge book for the first time was a little daunting, but I think it's been cool to kind of see how that's evolved and see how my mastery of that has grown. I'm truly comfortable right now. I'm excited to continue to take steps in that direction. I think that's a very encouraging quote right there. Just because half the battle when you're a starting quarterback in Jeff Brom's offense is, to use his own word, gaining a mastery of the offense itself.
Yeah.
Knowing where guys are supposed to be. I always tell this story, but talking to guys that played under Petrino, and Brom coached under Petrino, he took a lot from Bobby when they were working here together. When Bobby came back, and early on there was all the questions. We didn't have a big-time quarterback before he got Lamar. That first season, you had Will Gardner, you had Kyle Bolin, you had Reggie Bonifon. There were a lot of question marks about.
Shout out to Reggie.
Shout out to Reggie. We love Reggie, but he was a true freshman coming off of. He played one season of quarterback at Trinity. Before then, he'd played wide receiver. He'd played running back. He'd kind of been mixed and matched. He played one varsity season at quarterback at Trinity, so he was definitely raw. And I talked to some of the guys that I knew who'd played under Bobby back when I was in college, and they all said the same thing, which is, if you don't have to be an NFL caliber quarterback to be a ridiculously good college quarterback under Bobby. As long as you know the offense, he's going to put you in positions where you can make a really simple throw time after time after time, and you look up and all of a sudden you're 25 of 30 for 320 yards with a couple of touchdowns. And I think Jeff is mostly the same way. Now, Jeff does like to push the ball downfield. We've seen that not just the last 2 years, but during his stops at Purdue and during his stops at Western Kentucky. But he also has a system where if you just make the right read, if you read the pre-snap coverage the right way and have a full grasp of what your guys are going to do and make the best decision that's out there for you quickly and accurately, like boom, it should be a simple pitch and catch for 8 yards. And that should be especially true this year when defenses are so focused on the running game. Miller Moss does not have to go out there and be a guy that's – I know he's probably thinking about the NFL draft. He's probably thinking about what I can do to get myself on some of these draft boards. He doesn't need to be that guy for us to have a really good season. He'll get his shots. There will be a couple of times every single game where Brom tries to lure the opposing defense into a false sense of security and is like, this is where we hammer them. This is where we hit them with a double move. This is where we fake the quick throw to the outside, and then we go deep over the middle. And he'll have an opportunity to hit on those. But even if he doesn't, we can still be a very good offense so long as he's got a mastery of that playbook and is accurate in the short passing game. We've got dudes that can go out there and get it. And I think he's got a good chance to be that guy. Now, one of the reasons why that's the case is Chris Bell. And we've been talking about this the last couple of weeks. It seems like the rest of the country is like the sport, like college football media guys are trying to one up each other when it comes to how much they love Chris Bell over the last few weeks, right? You've got, he got the preseason All ACC accolades. My chair just sunk all the way down, and whenever it happens, it always just catches me by surprise. Chris Bell has gotten more and more love, it seems like, from the media. We took things to a new level today, Roman. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so the Athletics' Dane Brugler, who is one of their, covers football at the NFL level, covers a little bit of college football, but primarily is their NFL draft guy. He started, everyone's now looking ahead to the 2026 draft. 2025 is in the books, and he's doing position by position his big board going into the season. And today he did wide receivers. He's got, as the number one wide receiver for the NFL draft as of right now, he's got Jordan Tyson from Arizona State, who's been getting a lot of love for a long time. Big guy who runs great routes. He's been on NFL draft big boards for a long time. He's got Chris Bell at number 2.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, he's got him as wide receiver 2. Everybody's got this Tyson kid as wide receiver 1. They're saying he's going to be maybe the only wide receiver who goes in the first round. Everybody behind him, it's sort of up for grabs. Brugler he's planting his flag right now and saying, I'm getting out ahead of the game. I'm going to remind everybody who told you about this guy first. Chris Bell, number 2 wide receiver in the 2026 NFL draft. Now, here's what he had to say. And he does this for all the receivers on his big board. He does their best traits and the areas where they must improve, and then their overall draft outlook for 2026. So he said, best traits for Chris Bell. He's big and explosive. With his strong, muscular frame, Bell passes the eye test, walking off the bus, but he also plays the part expected of an athlete of his stature. He uses his physicality to be a possession target and can make tough grabs over defenders. And with his 4.4 speed, Bell can separate vertically or create explosive plays after the catch. On this, and he's got a highlight below, on this catch and run touchdown versus Pitt, Bell looks unfazed with the push from the defender and then shows off his explosive acceleration once he stretches out his stride. At 227 pounds, he has no trouble running away from the rest of the defense. The area where he must improve, limited routes, is what Brugler says. He says, Bell, who recently turned 21, is one of the younger senior players in this senior class. And that inexperience showed last year, which was his first as a starter. I'm hoping to see the coaches put more on his plate in 2025 to better develop the building blocks of his route construction. Bell is still a work in progress when it comes to some of the finer points of the position. As far as his outlook for the draft is concerned, Brugler writes, a former 3-star recruit, Bell was the 170th ranked wide receiver in the 2022 recruiting class and came off the bench in his first 2 seasons at Louisville. He became a starter last season and led the team with 17.1 yards per reception. Bell did lose his former quarterback for his final season, but Miller Moss transferred in from USC and will have a chance to thrive in Jeff Prom's offensive system. Based on his rare size and speed mix, Bell enters the season as my top-ranked senior wide receiver prospect. Part of that projection is the expectation that Bell will take another step this season and prove to NFL teams that he belongs in the early rounds. That's high praise, Roman.
It is, Mike. He has all the tools. I mean, he's not wrong.
You reposted the clip that we were talking about yesterday, the reverse run against Clemson. That, to me, I mean, we've always talked about his skill set. It's a different thing when you see a guy moving that way, when he's got a full head of steam starting at the line of scrimmage and runs for 47 yards. You know, it was one of those plays where you kind of thought you were seeing things. I'm like, is he really going that fast? Like you watch play. Roman retweeted it, quote tweeted it yesterday at Romy Bean on Twitter. Go check it out for yourself right now. He looks like a freaking locomotive. Yeah. Like just like absolutely like everybody else looks like they're kind of going in slow motion.
When he gets his body turned straight, Mike.
Yeah. And he's 227 pounds. Like, that's a gigantic man moving at a 4.4 speed, what looks like a legit 4.4 speed. Like, that's the play that I go to if I'm an NFL draft guy. I know it's a wide receiver running the football and not making a catch downfield. But, like, that's the play that I go to and say, my God. Like, you know, this kid, if you can, like the Brugler says, if you can get the finer points of the position down, there's nothing out there that he can't do. The play that he has from the Pitt game is also wildly impressive when it comes to his speed. He doesn't catch the ball cleanly, and that sort of frees the safeties for a split second, and then he turns on the Jets, and he's just gone up the right sideline, and nobody has an angle to catch him. I mean, one of two things are going to happen this season. Either, and this is best case scenario, Chris Bell solidifies himself as the latest, greatest afro, America's finest receivers on Saturday, puts himself into that illustrious group of fantastic Louisville wide receivers, or he's going to go down as one of the best why didn't that guy work out more players in the history of Louisville football, which is unfair because he had a good season last year. He was very good. He could have a really good season again this year, but if he's not like a first-team All-ACC, a fringe All-American player, and not getting the type of NFL draft love that Brugler's predicting he's going to get, I think people are still going to look at him as a guy that didn't live up to his full potential. He's going to be remembered in the same light as the guy that I think he's drawn a ton of comparisons to in Scott Long. Passed every look test, looked fantastic in warm-ups, was a good enough player for us, but never really popped off the way that you expected him to. Either way, like this is the season that's going to define Chris Bell. Now, what I didn't know, and I don't know if you knew this, Roman, like I didn't realize he just turned 21. That's super young for a guy entering his senior year of college. It also goes a long way in explaining some of the personal foul penalties a couple of years against Kentucky. He always seemed to be on the brink of doing something silly that was going to cost us until last year. And it makes a lot more sense now when you're talking about, like, he was a 19-year-old kid out there getting big-time snaps as a true sophomore in Brom's first season. And 19-year-old kids are going to do 19-year-old kid things when they get out there, and especially when they're not a full-time starter and they're trying to make a massive impact, and you get that adrenaline flowing. And you saw him last year be the more mature players as the season went on, and it makes more sense now, I think, knowing his age. 21 is young. Would love to have maybe held him back for a year. Would love if Satterfield had put the red shirt on him during his last season here. Kind of screwed us there.
Yeah.
Because you'd love to have one more year of Chris Bell. But if he's as good as we think he can be this year, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. He'd be gone, whether he's a redshirt junior or a true senior. At this point, Roman, which way do you lean on the extreme scale of Chris Bell's going to be the superstar we all know he can be, or Chris Bell's going to be the just good, not great player that it seems far too often he's been throughout his career?
I think it's going to be in between. I hate to give you that kind of answer,
That's
Mike.
fine.
I don't think he's going to be inconsistent. I don't think we're going to have to worry about the maturity. Have the routes improved, right? Is the quickness improving? Does he have that twitch? Does he have the ability to create separation in every type of route rather than just the comebacks and the deep balls? I want to know if he can make every type of play out there, because if he can, he has the speed, the strength, the catching ability, the leaping ability to be one of the best wide receivers in the country. We've all felt that way for about a little over a year now. So I think he'll get good quarterback play. I think that obviously depends on it as well. It's not going to be the same with Shuck last year, but at the same time, he'll get more targets. He'll be more of an emphasis. And he is, at the end of the day, like the most freakish athlete we kind of have out there. So, yeah, him being the focal point of the passing game now, I think is going to be huge. He hasn't been that here yet, and now it's his time. You've seen the numbers when he wasn't that, when he's been the number 2.5 2 years ago, clear cut kind of number 2, but especially like when Lacey went down, and now he's the number 1 guy in the long passing game. So it's time to make it happen.
He's another guy too. I think we all, and I do this all the time. When we talk about Bell, we say we need him to be the big play threat up the sideline, and I do think that's true. But talking about his speed and seeing these highlights that are out there,
I want him to catch it on the run on a slant.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's a guy that could absolutely benefit from the opposing defense, whoever we're playing, being overly focused on stopping the run game. If you get a play action to Isaac Brown and both linebackers are biting because they know you've got to stop this guy at the point of attack or he's going to go off for 70 yards, that may be all the cushion that, he's another guy that can exploit the middle of the field. And if you hit Chris Bell in stride over the middle of the field with just a safety to beat, I mean, he's winning that foot race every single time. So like I said, the passing game doesn't have to be overly crazy, 60 yards into double coverage right through both defenders, and hit the open man in stride. You got 2 guys out there at least that can make gigantic things happen when you get the ball in their hands, and I'm not talking about either one of the running backs. So we have the potential to be a very, very, very good offense. Speaking of quarterback play, I want to talk quickly about Briggs Cherry. Did you see the on-3 ratings that came out? I believe it was yesterday.
I did. Just got them sent to me.
So Briggs Cherry he's had the type of offseason that we expected him to have here as Louisville fans. When Jeff Brom goes after a guy and before anybody else does, and he's got limited scholarship offers. He's a 3-star prospect. You just assume that he's poised for a big offseason because Brom doesn't miss when it comes to quarterbacks. I said it before. If he went out and gave a 5'4" Eskimo from Alaska a scholarship to play quarterback at Louisville, I'd be like, this dude can sling it. You know, I'm not going to judge. I trust in Jeff Brom when it comes to most things. I especially trust in Jeff Brom when it comes to quarterbacks. And sure enough, Briggs Cherry, this kid from Chattanooga, Tennessee, that at the time had no other power conference scholarship offers, was just a 3-star prospect, wasn't in anyone's top 500 player list, has gone off over the past few months. He made the Elite 11 finals. He got the most accurate award at the Elite 11 camp. He got a couple of nods for the best overall quarterback at the Elite 11 camp. He's risen to a 4-star prospect basically across the board. ESPN has him as the number 12 quarterback in the country. And then On3 comes out yesterday, Off3, which now owns Rivals. And they list their top 25 quarterbacks for the upcoming class of 2026. And they've got, all these, Matt Ponatowski, who's going to Kentucky now, who nobody else has in the top 25. They got him at 17. There are other big sites, the Tennessee site. So they've got Faison Brandon at number 3. They've got Briggs Cherry all the way down at number 25.
On3, doing what On3 does, Mike.
It's Off3. Off3. Absolutely. Like, they're not beating the allegations because the allegations are accurate, including allegations from some people who used to work for On3. Like, yeah, that's absolutely what they do. So Briggs Cherry clearly has seen this, and he quote tweeted it, and he just did the zipped lips emoji. If you're so that team that he plays for, Baylor School in Chattanooga, they've got like 3 other kids that are committed to Tennessee. They've got another kid that I think is going to Indiana. They've got like 8 power conference players in that team. Briggs Cherry is about to lead some teams to like a 80-0 beatdown. Like, this dude's going to absolutely run it up this season because now he's got a chip on his shoulder, and I love it. I'm telling you, like, if you can get odds, I'm not encouraging you to gamble on high school football. But, however, if you can find over-under odds on Briggs Cherry for the upcoming season, take the over. He threw 31 touchdowns against 3 interceptions last season. He may toss for 55 scores this year because he's clearly pissed off. He's also the type of kid that seems to carry a chip on his shoulder. He's brash. He's confident. I love everything about him. I think he's going to be fantastic here. And I think is going to be very motivated by what the folks over there at Off3 have done.
I'm excited for him.
Oh, I can't wait to see the highlights. It's going to be a lot of, I think that first game's in a couple of weeks. I can't wait to start seeing the highlights. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Game Day Men's Health text lines 502-414-1450, whatever's on your mind. We'll hear about it after the break. Hit us up there with your questions, comments, concerns, topic ideas, whatever you got. We'll take it. Hour number 2 of the show next here on 1450 and 96.1, Big X Sports Radio. Welcome back in. It's hour number 2 here of the Thursday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. I just realized something during the break, Roman.
What's that?
The 4-year anniversary of the show starting is going to be Saturday. So we don't even get to have we'll have to do like the anniversary celebration tomorrow. Because our very first show.
Level gun range.
Oh, that's right. Well, to celebrate by shooting some stuff, I guess. Because the very first, the debut of the show, it's very easy to remember. It's also Mary and I's anniversary. So August 16th, we'll celebrate 11 years of marriage on Saturday, and we'll be also be celebrating. Thank you. We got don't count your eggs before they hatch. We still got a day and a half to make it there. She may wisen up.
She could divorce you before then?
She could wisen up at some point over the next 36 hours. No question about that. But it'll be 4 years of the Rutherford Show on Saturday, which is crazy to think about. I feel like we were just starting it. So
glad I could be a part of it.
I know, man. The show's it's only gotten bigger and better since you came on. And 4 years. People thought we wouldn't make it 4 days. We've made it 4 years, just about. Again, not counting eggs before they hatch. We could definitely get fired tomorrow. It's also, today is a special anniversary day, though. On this day, exactly 11 years ago, 2 days before I got married, one of the greatest moments in the history of the sports internet occurred. On this day, August 14th, 2014, at 10:49 a.m., John Calipari, then the head coach at Kentucky, now the head coach at Arkansas, tweeted the following, Roman. Walking on the beach this morning, doing a little thinking when I saw footprints on the sand. Reminded me of the poem, Footprints in the Sand. One of the greatest tweets of all time. It's like, was walking along, saw some kids throwing the football on the beach, made me think about football. Like, it was just one of the greatest. Doing a little thinking, saw some footprints in the sand, reminded me of the poem Footprints in the Sand. Just absolutely fantastic. One of the greatest moments of all time. Shout out to Coach Calipari. Shout out to his deep thinking. Shout out to his social media team. They would never let him tweet that now. I feel like they've got somebody that they're doing all of his tweeting for him. But back then, it was an absolute.
We're not letting that slide.
No, they're not going to let that happen. It was an absolute banger, though, 11 years ago, and the world's a better place because he was allowed to tweet that. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. We're about to hand things over to you guys. Reminder before we do, though, that Game Day Men's Health is redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, and sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com today to find out how they're defining a new era in men's health. Let's go to the text line. Texter says, the Riddler texted in. If Mike Rutherford was the conference realignment genie and was able to hand select a conference of teams outside of the Big Ten and the SEC, so we're talking ACC, Big 12, Independents, and Group of Five all up for grabs, to pull together a third super conference with basketball and football elite programs, who would you pick and why? You pick the conference size. Man. Okay. Let's say we're capping this at 14 teams. Okay?
Okay. We want Kansas in there. We want Louisville in there.
Yeah, let's start with the ACC teams that we want to keep. We got us. We're taking Clemson and Florida State, right?
Yep.
You got to have football. Football has to come first.
North Carolina and Duke.
Carolina's coming. Are you taking Duke?
I'll take Duke. They've got the money. I'll take Duke.
So that's 5. I think we need to take Miami.
Yeah.
That's 6 from the ACC that we know about. From the Big 12, I think we want
Kansas, Baylor, and Houston.
Okay. I fear that we're a little basketball heavy at this point.
Well,
give me Texas Tech. They can give you a little bit of both.
Okay.
We're at 10 now. Do you want Colorado with Dion? Big TV draw right now, but how long is he going to be there?
Over Notre Dame?
Okay, is Notre Dame up for grabs?
They're independent.
All right, if Notre Dame's up for grabs, then they're the number one choice. They're above everybody else. All right, so Notre Dame's in. That's 10. We've got 4 spots left.
Do we want UConn too?
No.
Okay.
No, UConn's they're Big East. We're not taking UConn. We're not taking Gonzaga. We need football and basketball programs at this point. I don't think there's another Group of 5 team that I would take over an ACC program or a Big 12 school that's left.
So BYU's money then. I'll bring them in.
Bring BYU in. I mean, SMU, their money too.
I like it.
All right,
rounds it out at 12.
That's 12. Now,
Can we just be a 12 team?
No, we need 2 more. That's the rules. It's my rule. Do we look?
You want to beat up on Cincinnati?
I mean, I was thinking selfishly Cincinnati or Memphis State, but also how funny would it be to exclude them and leave them out? We've got Kansas State out there. We've got, like, Syracuse out there, Pitt's out there, NC State's out there, Georgia Tech's out there, West Virginia's out there. I think Kansas State comes. I think we bring them. I think that's 13.
Give me.
Okay.
No, I don't want Kansas State, Mike.
All right, well, they're in my league. You can have them.
Boise State or Air Force or something.
You would take Boise State over Kansas State?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm taking K-State, and then I'm taking my last pick.
San Diego State.
I'm taking Arizona.
I had a feeling you were going to go there.
Good for basketball. Every now and then good for football. West Virginia can burn. Get them out of here. We're leaving TCU out too.
I'd go.
The Big 12 is just loaded with all of these programs that are so similar. Like, so similar. Like, how do you distinguish between Arizona State and Oklahoma State? What they bring? Like, they're all flash in the pan type programs in football, and then you've got a handful of really good programs in basketball, and that's it. Like, I don't know how you, because we got to be, if we're going to be a legit Power 3 conference that could challenge the Big Ten and the SEC, it's got to start with football. And besides Clemson, Florida State, like, you don't have those and Notre Dame in this case.
Yeah.
You don't really have those consistent names. Miami helps you a little bit when it comes to brands, but the Big 12 gives you nothing in that department. It's tough. I think that conference, though, if you got a football league with Clemson, Notre Dame, FSU, Miami, and then a host of teams that are usually right there in the top 25 mix every single season, that's kind of what the SEC does on an annual basis. You know?
Yeah.
They have like 4 really good teams and then a bunch of teams that are kind of back end top 25.
What do we call it?
The Mike and Roman League.
Okay. I like it.
What would you legitimately call a conference?
If we did that, a brand new 14-team conference like that.
Conference of Champions. The cock.
Does everybody want a championship in something there?
Doesn't matter.
I like that. COC?
Yeah. People would enjoy it. That's what I'm calling it. Shout out to, I mean, we may have to, I don't know if Bill Walton had a trademark on that, but that's what I would go with. Texture says, Mike, I'm at the point where I'm ready to throw Cade Klubnik's name in the freezer. I've thought about it all week. I'm so sick of the offseason glazing of a quarterback who is quite frankly super overrated. Maybe the juju just bakes for months. If I get that name in there early, you're playing with fire. I don't like this one bit. The last quarterback whose name went in the freezer by somebody attached to this fan base was Cam Ward. It was Roman. He had a pretty good year. If you want to guarantee Cade Klubnik's a Heisman finalist and a top pick in the NFL draft, by all means, be my guest. I'm not putting his name in the freezer.
I'm not going to take the risk.
Just let this play out. He's overrated. He's absolutely. Clemson plays somebody good week 1, right?
I believe so.
They play LSU.
That's what I thought.
I know LSU's defense has been not up to its standards the last couple of years, especially 2 years ago. They still are good enough to expose Klubnik if he's not that good. The Cade Klubnik Heisman run could get derailed pretty early. And then he'll put up big numbers against Troy, and he'll play well against Georgia Tech and Syracuse and all these unranked ACC teams, and everyone's going to be like, oh, yeah, see, told you guys. And then, boom, 6 of 38 against Louisville on November 14th. 6 interceptions. Dabo refuses to bench him. Cries and craps his pants, both of them. Heisman train officially. People will still probably say he was good. He threw great balls. He threw some great passes. The crap running down his leg. Ready for the NFL. Get out of my face with this. Get out of my face. I'm done with Kate Klubnik. Texture says, I can't wait for football any longer. This team is going to be so special this year. 2 more weeks of waiting is just pure agony at this point. That first 60-yard touchdown run this year is going to hit different. Roman, right now, call it. Who scores the first touchdown of the year for Louisville?
Colin Lacey.
You think so?
I do. No. Isaac Brown.
Isaac Brown. If we get inside the 20, the next play after that, Isaac's going.
I'm thinking Colin Lacey just because if we receive the kickoff,
might run it back
on that first game. Be cool.
Might run it back. Texas, I know we're a Louisville show, but can you do a segment breaking down UK's roster? Who is this Croatian dude that BBN claims is the second coming of Luka? I would love if you were talking about football with that statement. Like, like they've got a left tackle that they think is going to be the Luka of football. Like, let's start breaking down Kentucky's defensive line. Who are these guys that defensive line coach believes are going to lead them to, embarrass everybody when it comes to the week one? In all honesty, what you're talking about who are they talking about with the?
What's his name?
The Jelovich kid?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any. He put up modest numbers in Croatia, but he's big. He's big. These international players are all such a mystery. I mean, we can sit here and be like, he's a 6'11" freshman from Croatia who averaged like 9 points over there. Why is he going to be fantastic here? And maybe he will be. They scoff, I'm sure, at the way that we talk about Sananda Fru or the way that we talk about Mo Kamara's highlights when we see him. You never know. Like maybe this kid's going to be incredible. Maybe he's going to suck. Maybe Fru's going to be incredible. Maybe Fru's not going to be good. I think. I mean, I know what you want me to say. I know you want me to be like UK's roster. It's a bunch of pieces that don't fit into what Pope wants to do. I think there are some questions on that front. It's still a really good roster. I don't know what you want me to say. Like Otega Oweh was first team All SEC last year. He was their leading scorer on a team that was a 3 seed that made the Sweet 16, and he came back. He's a very good player. Cam Williams should help answer a bunch of their shooting problems if he can get going. He's a legitimate NBA prospect. Quaintance, when he gets healthy, is one of the better defensive big men, or should be one of the better defensive big men in college basketball. If the offensive game comes around a little bit, he can be an All-SEC guy, no question about it. I really like Mehmet Diabate, who I thought was underutilized at Bama last year because they had such a loaded roster. Jalen Lowe, defensively is an issue if he doesn't improve. The three-point shooting was a massive issue last season at Pitt. But off the bounce, he's about as quick as there is. Like he's a big-time playmaker. We saw that in the Pitt games last year. Yep. He didn't shoot
to the
well.
rim with the best of them.
He got to the rim pretty consistently despite being guarded by Chucky Hepburn and a really good defensive Louisville team at that point. Colin Chandler has moments. Brandon Garrison's a psycho, but he's not a bad big man. The guy that I like on this roster, I think I like him more than you do, Roman, based on our conversations. I think Denzel Aberdeen's going to be a big-time player for them.
I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be better than he was last year, but I don't think he's going to be like all SEC in any way.
I don't, but I don't think he has to be for him to fill a pretty big role on this team. I mean, Florida was the best team in college basketball last season, and he was off the bench, but still played a pretty sizable role for them and was ready to step into a starting role at UF this year for a team that's going to be preseason top 10, maybe top 5, and he chose to come to Kentucky. I think his shooting numbers are going to go up. I think he's going to be sort of the surprise guy on this team for them in a positive way. I think UK is going to be good. They would not be on my short list for teams that can win a national title, but I think if you want to put them in your top 15, I think I put them at 11 the last time I did rankings. I think that's about where they belong. I think they've got room to be better than that, and I think there is a world where they just don't shoot well enough to be consistently good. They'll knock off a couple of really good teams in the SEC. They play a tough non-conference schedule too, but then they can have a couple of just laid eggs because they don't shoot it well, and I think their defense could be a little bit suspect as well on the perimeter at least. But they should be good. I think that I think they'll be good.
I think Cam Williams, if you had to make me choose, is like going to be the player for them that I believe will
He needs to be.
mold kind of like perfectly with them. But at the same time, he's making a big jump. He's still young, so we'll see.
Texture says, I've been having a hard time trying to figure out how you could even get a beefy 5-layer burrito up your butt. You said that this guy did. Was there a video or something? I need to know the logistics of how it worked. There is. I didn't watch it for obvious reasons. I was told that it didn't go like all the way up the butt. It basically, like, he got it in between the cheeks, and that was deemed, unless his video, I think it was Saint Bill Snyder, unless he's being misrepresented. I don't think it was actually like, hey, it's up there. You can't see it anymore. It's all gone. I think it was just like kind of in the butt.
He just, started the act and called it that.
You know, sometimes you think your life's going to go a certain way, Roman, and then you fast forward 20 years, and you're talking about which Kansas State internet person shoved a 5-layer beefy burrito up his butt and how exactly it worked, and whether or not the term up his butt was the appropriate description of what took place. And you start to wonder how you got here. You start to think about all the decisions that led you to the point where you're a 40-year-old father of 2 talking about this sort of thing on the airwaves.
Beefy 5-layer butt stuff.
What a dynamite addition to the conversation. Beefy 5-layer butt stuff. So it goes. Sometimes you got to talk about what you got to talk about. Tell you that someone's getting fired. Have you seen? This was bound to happen at some point. I think it's one of the regional news channels in Atlanta, WTOC. They had Michael Penix Jr., the former Indiana quarterback and Washington quarterback, who now is with the Falcons. They had his post-practice press conference today, or his media session, and on the little, whatever, underneath his name, the name tag, Michael Penis Jr., Falcons quarterback. It was just a matter of when, not if, this was going to take place. I mean,
It's not going to be the last time it happens.
When he first got named the Indiana quarterback, this is how long it was ago. Like, we were on the air on 790, and I would just consistently refer to him as Penix because I thought it was very funny because I am, at heart, still a young boy. And even when I found out that his name was Penix, I was like, well, it's big Penix energy. This is who he is. This is what we do. And you knew that eventually if he got to a certain level that this mistake was going to be made. I mean, if you're Michael Penix, you've heard this your entire life. It can't bother you at this point, right?
No, he's used to it.
It's, anybody, like our guy, Andy Sweeney, do radio, like anybody who has the last name Sweeney, they've heard every weenie joke in the book by the time that they're through 3rd grade. It's why I know, and I know that she's going to hate me and her mother for this, but pretty early on in her educational career, Virginia's going to be called vagina for the first time. Happened to my mom. Sure, it probably happened to we have a bunch of Virginias on my side of the family, on my mom's side of the family. I think they all heard it. My wife is Mary Virginia. She heard it. It's going to happen.
It is.
And you're just you'll be tougher because of it. Those jokes will just roll off you, and you'll be able to go with the punches. But the first time it happens, like in 3rd or 4th grade, am I going to want to drop kick somebody in their class? Of course. Texas says, is Chris the plumber doing the plumbing on your house? He's not. It's my guy, Jason. He's done a great job for us at multiple stops now. This is the guy that always texts in and talks to you about your idol, Stephen A. Smith.
I know.
Which I giggle every time it happens. Did you see that, Roman, that your idol, Stephen A. Smith, he's doing a head-to-head with Clay Travis?
No.
No one asked for this. Like, of all the things that nobody asked for, this is top 3 that nobody asked for. They're going to debate a variety of topics, not just sports, but the intersection of sports and news and pop culture, and it's going down on September 16th. A fiery debate on sports, politics, and the business of both. I mean, examine my whole life because I had to make that comment about the beefy layer burrito going in the butt. I would re-examine. I would feel even worse about my life if I was somebody that was like, you know what? Cancel my plans. Clear the calendar.
I need to watch this debate.
I'm firing up a candle and a nice bottle of scotch, a glass of scotch, to watch Stephen A. Smith and Clay Travis go head-to-head for a fiery discussion on sports, politics, and the business of both. Imagine being somebody who just lived on every word of that back and forth, because they're just going to scream at each other. And neither one's going to make any sense. And the points that they do make are going to be overshadowed by the big sound bites of the other guy yelling at them. And I just cannot imagine ever getting to a point in my life where this is my source of entertainment, where I'm like, ooh, yeah, get him, Clay. Oh, Stephen A. just came back over the top with a hammer. Just not my idea of a good time. Just nothing that I would enjoy. Texter says, happy Thursday, dudes. I just watched some Chris Bell highlights from last year, and I've got a few thoughts. One, I didn't realize we played against Jabari Mack last year. He made a nice tackle on Bell, but also sort of gave up a long TD to Bell, but it wasn't really his fault. Two, basically every catch Bell made where he had 3+ yards of space, he was getting huge chunks of extra yards. He runs violently and gets into a high speed quickly. Three, if Lacey can be who we think he is, I think Bell is a lock for first-team All-ACC and may make noise for All-American. Whatever his full-year TD projection is, smash the over. I think Chris Bell is going to run up some touchdowns. I think he's going to be how many did Jacory have last year? Like 10?
I think so.
Because he was top 10 in the country in receiving touchdowns basically the entire season. And I think that Bell will be that guy this year.
I was going to make that point when we were talking about him in the last segment. If he can make the catch and has room to turn and shift his body upfield, he's a whole different receiver when he in those types of plays. And hopefully we get a lot of those.
I think we know he can do that. Where I want to see him improve. I think Brugler makes a good point about the route running. We got to get crisper there. I want to see him win more 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
I feel like there have been too many times where we've thrown it up to him, and he gets his hand on the ball and just doesn't come down with it. That's where I think he can really improve, and that's where I think he can go from very good to elite this season. Let's take a break. When we come back, 4 o'clock hour is up next. More from you guys in the Game Day Men's Health text line. Hit us up at 502-414-1450. More from you after the break. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical, 1450, 96.1, Big X Sports Radio. 4 o'clock hour here, the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical. 1450, 96.1, Big X Sports Radio. Reminder, United Mechanical, our guy John Burke and everybody over there, they got you covered when it comes to reliable commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration services. You can visit them online at UnitedMechanicalInc.com, or you can call them directly at 502-339-1133. I saw very, very sad news. Again, we talked, I think, briefly yesterday about the second bus stop shooting in the last week. This time, the first one was the first day of school for JCPS. Apparently, a 15-year-old opened fire. Nobody was seriously injured in that shooting. And then yesterday, you had a homicide where someone shot and killed a mother who was walking their small child to the bus stop, which is horrible. People are saying that the 15-year-old that was arrested for the first shooting has now also been arrested for the second shooting. I don't think that's the case. I think it's the second person that was arrested for firing the gun on the first day of school is now the person who's been questioned in Wednesday's homicide, and they've been let go. To my knowledge, they're still, according to the news sources, looking for the person who was the shooter yesterday. They've got some pictures out there, but they're grainy and they don't show anybody's face. But it does look like it's another kid. I just don't know what possesses you as a 15-year-old to show up at a bus stop and take a life.
It's exactly what I was talking to my parents about last night. Like, what's happening in your life to feel the need to be anywhere near the realm of that kind of decision making at 15 is just, it's kind of crazy.
I mean, I understand being upset about the state of your life, the state of life in general. But to get to a point where you want to take somebody else out for at random, seemingly, I can't comprehend it. It reminds me of, I think every generation goes through this to a degree. It's what the whole, No Country for Old Men is kind of based about. And I think of the book is fantastic. The movie's also fantastic. But I do think about that spiel where he talks about, someone just pure evil, someone just doing something and interviewing the guy who did it, and he said he knew he was going to hell. Said he knew it ever since he was born. He was like, I don't know what to do with that. Sometimes you see stories like this, and I find myself thinking the same types of things. Where I'm like, I don't know how to compute that. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to combat stuff like this. But hopefully, whoever committed the crime will be brought to justice, and that's all you can do in this one instance, I suppose. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. A couple other quick notes to get to before we get back to you guys on the Game Day Men's Health text line. A little basketball recruiting nugget. Ryan Hampton, who's a guard/forward, can play both right now at the high school level, has been offered a scholarship from Louisville. He's a class of 2027 player, 6'5", 180, plays in Rockwall. He's originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, plays now in Rockwall, Texas. He's currently ranked as the number 6 player in the class of 2027 by ESPN. So definitely going to be a big-time player in that class as we get closer and closer. But Pat Kelsey wanted to be ahead of the game when it comes to his recruitment. He's offered him a scholarship already. Circle that name. Watch his progression. He's a rising junior in high school. And then also, there's a piece of good news here locally. I don't want to just highlight the bad things happening. We had a good piece of news today. Texas Roadhouse, Roman.
Okay.
Doubling down on its hometown and publicly declaring its commitment to the metro where its headquarters reside. The headquarters of Texas Roadhouse will remain in the city of Louisville. This is reportedly a move that is going to be, I'm trying to phrase this the correct way, like a $1 billion deal economically for the city of Louisville. It's $1.5 billion in sales that they're coming off its best quarter ever, $1.5 billion in sales, and now they're keeping its roots and jobs in Louisville. That's good news for the community. Texas Roadhouse recently just overtook Outback Steakhouse as the number 1 regional steakhouse in the United States of America.
Wow.
Yeah, big time deal. So good news for the city there. Love that. Finally keeping some businesses home in the city of Louisville. Don't want it to be just all gloom and doom, Louisville news. You got to highlight and accentuate the positive as well. Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Let's get back to your all's thoughts on the text line. Texter says, PRTG here. What's up, PRTG? The Alderman Pitt question gave me an extremely positive flashback, and that was my first day of alcohol sobriety. Was dejected thinking that we'd lose and being pissed at being sober. I flew off the couch doing the Kramer jockey dance. Pretty sure weapons is a commentary on youth gun violence. Let's discuss. Can't make it a day without somebody telling us about weapons.
I haven't seen it.
Still haven't seen it. By the way, congratulations on your sobriety, coming from a family of folks that have made the decision to remain sober or to become sober. I know how tough it is, and congratulations to you. That's fantastic. But that would be, I like I don't want to make light of it, but I do love your take on it. Your first day where you decide not to drink, we almost lose in horrific fashion to UCF. That would really test you right out of the gate.
It would.
And thankfully you didn't have to deal with that. But also, I mean, I know how people's brains work. When you have that, you're like, oh man, celebratory drink would hit hard right now. So props to you for making it through still. Texas says, what's up, Trigger Mike and Reload Roman? I don't like that at all. I'm not a big fan of those names. Tomorrow's episode of Recoil Radio is going to be interesting for sure, but I had some logistical questions. First is, will you shoot before, during, or after going on air? Will we hear gunshots the whole time in the background, like when an ambulance went by down Frankfurt Avenue when you were at FABD? I don't know if they're going to let us shoot. We know nothing about this outside of the fact that we're going.
Can't imagine they're going to let us shoot anything.
I don't know if they're going to give us guns. I don't know if they're going to ask us if we want to shoot. I don't know if they're like, hey, put on this suit and go out there and take a bullet. Like, that you're going to be the target. I don't know what to expect. All I know is that tomorrow we're going to be at a gun range, next level gun range. The good news is we're not the only show out there. The KRC guys are out there. Like, I will be listening into KRC just to see how it goes for them, see what they make them do. Do you have to work the board for them?
Yeah, I'll be out there early.
So you let me know if this is like a big trap.
Okay.
If they're like, if it's like TJ just shot his eye out, then I'll be like, all right, well, I'm not touching anything. If TJ can't handle it, then I'm not going in there. I'm not doing anything. Texter says, this is Little Dumper. Romans, you ever rock the Sperry and Nike Elite Socks combo?
Yeah.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, me and Abelson were big Sperry and Elite guys. I more so liked the regular Nike sock look with the Sperry's, but yeah, Mike.
I've seen the kids doing
9th grade, even down into 10th grade.
Like the classic Oaks outfit. I've seen the kids rock that in some of the Oaks pictures. I can see you being that guy.
I was wearing basketball shorts with jeans over them and Sperry's on.
God, you were cool. Oh, I mean, it's so funny how, like, every single generation, you feel like what you're doing isn't weird at all. You're like, whatever, this is like the style, this is the look. And there's not one generation that doesn't look back 20 years later and say, like, oh my God, like, what were we thinking? Because now it's a viral trend on TikTok and Instagram for people to, like, hey, we're wearing the outfits that we wore in 2003. And you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's what I was wearing. I don't know. Like, just everything ages poorly. There's nothing there's no, sometimes things go back in style. Everything's cyclical, but it still feels weird. And at the time, you just think, yeah, this is going to be the style forever. No one's going to change. Now, there's an age-old saying that when men become fathers, their style just freezes. Like, they remain, they don't dress any differently moving forward. And I have noticed, like, my friends who became dads the earliest, they do still wear some of the things that we were wearing when we were like 25, 26. And I'm like, dude, you got to lose the undershirt. Or like, dude, you've got to stop doing this. But, maybe this is the benefit of me having kids later in life, is my style kind of already changed.
Yeah,
like
that's what it was going to be anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing is I never have to dress up in suits or anything. I get to wear, well, now I may have to since we're doing TV, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'm going to be wearing a collar in here.
My buddy did say when I told him we were going to be on, which, by the way, if you haven't heard, starting September 1st, all the Mike Rutherford shows are going to be carried live on television.
Which is Labor Day.
WBNA, Channel 21. My buddy's like, please, God, wear a full-on suit the first day. Like, just what if we just both show up in tuxes?
That'd be funny.
You've never seen us.
I'll do it.
Do you own a tux?
No.
I don't either. We both. Is it worth renting a $125 tux for this joke? Or could someone donate tuxes for us for the first televised show?
If it's this kid, I mean,
Suit and tie would work.
It's funny because we could just wear the top of the tux and they wouldn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the cameras are going to be placed. I don't know how much you can see. I like to roll the chair around sometimes during the show. I don't want them to catch a glimpse of me in a top of a tux. First of all, you can't. I don't think they just let you rent the top of tuxes. Could you do that? Like, do I get half price if I don't get the pants and shoes? I don't think they let you do that.
Surely, like some kind of photographer place let you do that.
Do you know what Abelson's going to make you wear for his wedding?
Not yet.
He's got like a year to decide.
Yeah.
There were just it was always a big question mark because you got to rent the tux that your buddies pick out, and it was always a big question mark with certain friends, like how big are they going here? Like are they going to go with the lowest price range, or are they going to make me dive into my pockets here for their big day and make me fork over $300 for this tux rental? And like it was always a big question mark when you got to the checkout counter, like, oh, thank you, or like, you selfish son of a, it's tough. It's tough. Texter says, he also, the same texter with those numbers, said, don't worry, Roman. I also did this. I'm only a bit ashamed.
Well, that's good. I know a lot of people who did, so it's all good.
The worst picture of me that exists is my freshman year of college, where I've got the backwards Ducat. It's on my Instagram. I posted it like several years ago. But, I mean, it's a Friday night, and Dayton is cold, I know. But still, I'm dressing up to go out on a Friday night with a Nautica green fleece pullover underneath Under Armour. I'm wearing Under Armour. Like, you can see it visibly with a backwards Ducat. I don't know why I thought this was somewhat appropriate at 19 years old to wear to a party.
That's tough. That's a tough look.
The fact that I've ever had sex is a minor miracle. The fact that any woman at that point in my life was like, yeah, he looks okay, is just, I don't know how that happened. I don't know. I guess it just showcases that you've got a solid personality. I don't know. Texture says, 1, if you were forced to retire another number for U of L men's basketball, who would it be?
Number 2.
Well, it's already retired. That's Russ.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to assume for the sake of argument that you're getting rid of all of the, because they've got qualifications at Louisville. You have to have won a national title. You have to have been a unanimous first-team All-American. You had to, basically like Russ and Griff and Purvis, they checked all those boxes. But if we're saying that you don't have to have checked all those boxes, whose jersey do we retire?
Peyton Siva.
I feel like Siva would get a lot of love. He'd be on the. There are a lot of people that want DeJuan Wheat to have his jersey retired. The first one that I thought was Peyton.
All 4 years here, and he won a championship.
I mean, he doesn't have the individual accolades to bet. Like, he was never an All-American. He was never. I think it would have to be Peyton. But I like that we have such high standards for basketball. Like, I would not be in favor of retiring Peyton's jersey, which, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I love you. But
so you would vote no on the ballot?
I would vote no. I'd vote no to anybody else that's out there right now. Like, it doesn't mean that they weren't incredible players. Doesn't mean that they weren't. I just think that when you're a program that is widely considered to be,
you heard it here first. We would have won in 2013 without Peyton Siva, according to Mike. Still would have won. Didn't play a role.
The message boards are popping.
Mike said we didn't need Siva in 2013. I get what you're saying. I probably lean the same direction. I still do think that what he did in his time here, a lot of guys have done, Mike.
No, I mean, I agree. Like I said, if we were forced to,
that'd be the answer, yeah.
That'd be the guy that I would go with. But if you're asking me, like, it needs to be a high standard. We're widely considered to be, like, number 6, number 7, best college basketball program of all time. You shouldn't have, 13 or 14 retired jerseys. It should be a very, very prestigious list. It should be, guys that were top 5 all time in scoring, guys that won a national title, guys that were consensus All-Americans, and there just aren't many guys like that. So I think it's good that we only have 5 players with retired jerseys. And I think it should take something ridiculously impressive for that to happen. I mean, follow-up question, it's so rare now to have guys that hang around for multiple seasons when they're really good. Do you think we ever retire another jersey at Louisville?
Not really.
I kind of don't.
No, because it had to be like a guy who's here 2 or 3 seasons and we win a championship. And if one player is that important to us, it's a one-and-done guy.
Exactly. It would have to be somebody like Russ, who comes in here with not high accolades, who plays sparingly as a freshman, steps into more of a role as a sophomore, and then becomes a superstar as a junior, and then we give a bunch of NIL to come back as a senior. So it would have to be something. Let's take Kenai Roos, for example. Last year didn't play a ton.
Yep.
Let's say this year he has a little bit of a breakout season, plays really well, but he's not All-American good.
But he's starting at the end of the year. He's one of the 5, 6 best players on the team.
Kind of like Russ did, in and out of the starting lineup, and then became one of the most valuable pieces of that team in 2012. And then his junior year, he just explodes. Leading scorer on a championship team, All-American, right up there for Player of the Year in the conference. And then we're able to get him to come back to school with a bunch of NIL. It would take that type of progression, I think, for there to be a guy in the modern era of college basketball that would get his number retired here now.
I agree. And I think more times than not, someone in Kenai's shoes, like that kind of play style and that kind of body type, if they do make that sophomore jump, they're going to the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, and you're seeing now a bunch of even big-time programs are retiring or honoring the jerseys of one-and-done type players. I don't know if, I mean, let's say Michael comes here and is everything we want him to be and more. He's the best freshman in college basketball. He's first-team All-American. He's ACC Player of the Year. He leads us to a national title, and then he goes and is a top 3 NBA draft pick. You still can't retire his number,
Yeah.
I don't think you can, because there are lots. I just feel like it sets a dangerous precedent. But you can honor his jersey or do something like that. I know we haven't done that much of that as a basketball program. It's more of a football thing.
Say Michael went to male or manual or something, but it was everything what he was. Still no chance, right?
No, I mean, I don't think that changes anything. Because he wouldn't be, his one season would be incredible, but he wouldn't be a top 10 all-time scorer at Louisville. He wouldn't rank in he wouldn't dominate the record book the way that Russ and Griff and those other guys did.
The freshman records, yes, but no, not like that.
Yeah. Speaking of male, I saw that Nehemiah Kaiser, a 6'4" guard from the class of 2028, who just so happens to be the son of former Louisville basketball sharpshooter Brian Kaiser, has enrolled at Male. According to Next Up Recruits, he's a raw prospect with lots of upside. Freak athlete, will be a big-time addition for Coach Hallworth and Male High basketball. So Brian Kaiser was before your time, Roman. This was he was I guess he had kids later in life. He's kind of like me. He was like a three-point specialist in the mid-'90s with Denny Crum. And we didn't shoot the three a ton, so it was rare that you had a guy like that, but he was the most dangerous sniper we had. And it's kind of crazy because his reputation at Louisville was the classic sort of lumbering 6'4" white guy who just shot threes and couldn't do much of anything else. And now he's got a son who's being labeled as a freak athlete, which is just not something that you would think about when you've got the Kaiser last name. But I love Brian Kaiser. He was most notable at Louisville. We played UCLA when UCLA Louisville had like a non-conference rivalry. We still were building off the rivalry that we had a little bit of in the 80s.
He hit that game-winning three.
He had a game-winning three. I vividly remember this.
You were with your brother Oliver in Shelby County.
How'd you know this?
You were at that horse park.
We were at a horse show.
It was.
How did you remember that story? That had to have been like early Mike and Roman radio days.
That was the year before Mike and Roman. I just looked it up.
Oh, you did? Yeah, we were sitting in the car at the Kentucky Horse Park listening to the game, but I had I tweeted this out earlier. The next day in the Courier-Journal, like somebody had asked him after the game, what were you thinking when you made that shot? And he was a big religious guy. He ended up playing for Athletes in Action after he graduated from Louisville, which was a Christian-based basketball traveling team. And he said, my thought was praise God and then play defense because there was still a little bit of time left on the clock. And so the Courier-Journal headline the next morning was praise God, then play defense in quotes with a picture. I had that cut out and like put on my bulletin board that I had in my room for a long time. And he was kind of a beloved guy because he was the first. Like, you didn't have a lot of guys that did that back then. Denny Crum did not like utilizing the three-point line. It was still, in hindsight, it seems weird talking about it like this way, but it was like he was coming along in the three-point line, the infancy of its importance in the game, and he was a sniper, and I think people loved him for that. And now seeing that he's got a elite-level son playing for Male High School, I feel like he's a must-have recruit. Let's get this. Nehemiah Kaiser. It's kind of a weird thing to name your kid when your name is Brian. You know, you don't have many Nehemiahs that are produced by Brians.
Definitely not.
But let's get him on board. Let's make it happen. Texture says, sorry, you had a second part of your question with the retired number. Oh, text group, don't do this to me now.
Who is the men's basketball all Louisville team?
What does that mean? Like players from the city of Louisville? I feel like we just had this question. My text group is not working at all.
Yeah, we did have this question already. We were talking about, Louisville and Kentucky guys.
Who is the men's basketball all Louisville team? Feel like Russ,
but then that
Griffith, Purvis, and Wes Unseld will be locked.
Just saying, what's the all-time Louisville starting five?
Oh, okay.
Kind of a team. But I guess it's not based on position.
I mean, I feel like this is just the can you rank the best Louisville basketball players of all time, which becomes an ongoing summer activity. I mean, I think it would be. I mean, Griff is the no-brainer. Griff, Unseld, Purvis. I would throw Russ up there, and then Charlie Tyree is. I know he's from a bygone era, but his stats are outrageous. I mean, he had 35 rebounds a game or whatever. That's what I would. If we're saying all things are equal and we're just judging guys based on their excellence at their specific time.
Okay, fair.
I would throw Charlie Tyree there. I know it feels weird, but also, I mean,
Gorgie dog him one-on-one.
Yeah, but I mean, people could also argue that, if you look back at those 80s teams, you get a lot of skinny guys on those teams. The nutrition, the weightlifting is totally different. Griff was a freak athlete, but you can be like, you could bully Griff nowadays. I feel like you just got to judge players by their dominance in their respective eras.
That's what I do. Yep, I like it.
I mean, there are going to be people, I'm telling you right now, there will be people that look back 15 years from now at the 2011 through 2014 Louisville teams, and they're like, well, Russ couldn't do that in this day. He's too small. They don't let you get away with that clutching and grabbing on defense. He didn't shoot the three well enough to be an elite performer in this days. Everybody looks back at the previous eras and fairly or unfairly says, it'd be a lot different in today's game. And of course they're right, but it doesn't mean that with the right, I think the only way that you can judge people is if you want to do the whole, if Babe Ruth got today's training and he was using today's equipment, he'd be just as dominant as he was back then, which I think is a little bit ridiculous. I mean, you think he would hit more home runs than the rest of the American League teams combined? But if you judge him just based on what he did then, nobody's capable of doing that sort of thing. He hit 60 home runs, and the rest of the American League teams combined for the entire year hit 56. So it's like Shohei Ohtani hitting 700 home runs in this day and age. I think it's the only way that you can judge this. I also think it's why those arguments are stupid, because there's no way, there's never going to be a consensus answer. It's never going to be like, hey, we figured it out. LeBron's better than Jordan. Everyone agrees now. There's no way. Texture says, Mike, I'm going to be a first-time dad. Congratulations. My son is due early October. What new dad advice do you have? What impact will this have on my sports watching? From Travis. Congratulations, Travis. That's fantastic news.
Congrats.
First-time dad.
You could name him Roman. That would be a good start.
What if we had a competition and the winner got to be named after this kid? If I win, it's Mike. If he wins, it's Roman. First-time dad advice. It's going to affect your sports watching. There's no way around it. It doesn't mean that you can't watch sports. It's just going to be different. I mean, there are videos in Virginia's first few months. I mean, she was born right at the beginning of football season, September 5th. And there's some videos of her in the early weeks where I'm like fist pumping after a touchdown with her, like, and trying not to make noise with her in my arms. Like, you're going to have to do something with that. The other thing that I would say is, I think this happens naturally. Just get ready to get super comfortable with another human being's poop.
Yeah.
It's going to, like, I've always been one of those guys that, like, something mildly gross turns my stomach. If there's a terrible smell, I can't eat until it goes away. Or, you know, if you know, the kids in grade school that would like mash up all their food, it really grossed me out, and I couldn't eat if you were around me doing that. When you become a dad, all of that goes out the window. You know, I'd be eating a plate of chicken wings, and then I would have to go change a jet black crap-filled diaper, and would do it, would throw it in the diaper genie, change her, wipe her, get her all ready to go, and then just wash my hands and go right back to eating chicken wings without a second thought about it. Like, it happens naturally, but just get ready for it. If you're somebody that's grossed out by poop and you're worried about, am I going to be it's going to be tough early on.
I feel like I was like okay with helping change my little brother's diapers whenever I did, because baby poop seemed different. Something about
it is different. The first few days,
it's not as nasty. Some moments, some versions of it can be just as foul.
Oh my God, there were some days where the first week is the toughest because that's a different type of poop. It is like just solid black for whatever reason, and it smells like, you know, it smells like, did you really want to do this? Did you really think this through? That's what that smell just screams at you for that first week.
Did I make a mistake?
Can we return this thing? Because, oh my God, I've never smelled anything like this in my entire life.
Snot is the thing for me that I feel like I'm going to have to have some adjusting to.
You got to have the
other human snot. I don't even like my own.
Get ready for it. It's all over you. You're just constantly, like, you got to wear, you know how, like, you put on a shirt when you're going to go outside, like, go for a run or do something athletic on a hot day, and you're like, all right, like, I know I'm going to be taking this shirt off. Yeah. I don't need this shirt to remain clean for, like, the comfortable part of my night. That's the way it is with babies. Like, you don't put a shirt on that you're not willing to just get drenched in something 30 minutes later. But you got to have the burp towel, walk around with it on your shoulder to have that to clean stuff off, because guess what? They're going to spit on you. They're going to snot all over you. They're going to do those little throw-ups all over you.
Sneeze and wipe it on you in one gesture.
You just get, but you get used to it is what I'm, like, the first week is tough. And then at a certain point, it's like, well, you know, what are my options here? I'm responsible for this human being's life. Am I going to just like let her sit in a pile of her own feces because the smell grosses me out? Or am I going to do what I got to do? And your dad reactions kick in. The dad adrenaline's a very real thing. Like, I was very worried about how am I going to function on light sleep. You know, I need my sleep to be ready to go. And you realize pretty quickly early on, like, when you don't have a choice, that just naturally kicks in. Like, the adrenaline just goes, and you're like, all right, you know, it's like, I can't, it's either I wake my ass up and get going, or this human being that I'm responsible for could, you know, have it. Like, he's going to keep crying, and it's going to not be able to eat. So you do what you got to do. But it will affect your sports watching. But it's still the best thing in the entire world. There's a give and a take, no question about it. The take is way more than the give. Texas says, I would like to hear your all's take on this. Personally, I don't attend a fall wedding unless it's immediate family or I'm in the wedding. This is a tweet from, I saw this tweet when it was out there like last year. Hot take, dudes that get upset about fall weddings because they can't watch football are selfish and immature. Roman, what's your stance on that hot take?
I don't agree with. I selfish and immature is too extreme.
I think it's okay to be like kind of pissed off about it, but just like if it's a close friend, you go into the wedding.
If you're gonna let it impact how you act, that's childish, and I can agree with the immature side. Especially like if you're like a season ticket holder and you're missing an in-person game. If you are actively feeling negative emotions because you can't look at a screen instead of doing something with people who you probably love, that's weird.
I think the whole like you should kill people that get married in the fall. I think it's a little bit overblown. Like, trust me, like I've had to go. I've been in fall weddings where there's been a U of L game going on. I've not been thrilled about it, but at a certain point, you also have to realize like so much money goes into a wedding, and not everybody cares as much about this as you do. It's their day. If you're so invested in college football that you're not going to go to a fall wedding of a friend, okay, you kind of know that going in, like this texter says. But I've never,
Like, I understand circumstances. Like, if, say,
especially in Louisville,
say
wedding
this time
venues get booked up so early.
Say this time next year, I was gonna start calling EKU football games or something at home or something crazy like that. And Abelson had his like wedding plan for the spring, knowing for months that I had that lined up a year in advance, right? Like a close friend knowing that I'm gonna like my career could be altered by not being available for work, then it's like you have every right to be upset. But just because you want to watch a football game,
Look, we
on TV even, not the one you even have tickets for.
Not everybody cares as much as you do. Now to avoid this, like Mary and I, we got married in her hometown basically just to avoid this very issue because Louisville venues fill up very early. We realized this after we got engaged. We didn't want to wait that long. We got engaged in December of 2013, and we wanted to get married in the calendar year of 2014. And the only way to do that without having a wedding in September and October was to get married in her hometown. And we both were like, all right, well, let's do it. Like we did not want to have any conflict with football. We didn't want to have any conflict with basketball if we are going to do like a December wedding or a November wedding. So that was our choice. But we have had friends that were like, the only time we could do it was September, October, and we've gone. Now, if you're like I haven't talked to you in 4 years friend, and I feel like you're just inviting me as a selfish present grab, then I'm probably not going.
And you got to get babysitters and this and that.
I'm sending you a $20 toaster, and I'm not going to the wedding. Making a statement there, but for the most part, I think it's
not even like a $40 toaster, Mike.
No. If you'd gotten married in the summer and I didn't want to go to your wedding, I'd get you the $40 toaster. But you get married on the fall Saturday, I'm sending you a $20 toaster. If I haven't talked to you, like if you've got to reach out to me through Facebook and be like, hey man, what's your address? I want you to come out. Like you don't have my number. I'm sending you a $20 toaster. That's what we're doing. Let's take a break. We're overdue here. We get the final hour of the show. I've got one thing left that I do want to talk about, and then we'll get back to the Game Day Men's Health text line. A lot of good text today. I appreciate the conversation. Back after this here on the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450, 96.1, The Big X. Yeah, it's the final hour here of the Thursday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical. 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Couple of reminders. Once again, we are going to be out at Next Level Gun Range tomorrow, across the bridge there. If you want to make it out there, spend some time with us. I don't know if you can just come hang out with us. I don't know. We'll find out more when the KRC boys are out there, but we will be out there talking about the custom classes they have for all skill levels, the specialty training that they have, the premium indoor facility that they've got out there. So tune in for that. Also, the Big X Kickoff Golf Scramble is going down Friday, August 29th at Elk Run Golf Club across the bridge as well in Jeffersonville, Indiana.
Can't wait.
Registration and breakfast, 6:45 a.m. Shotgun start at 7:30 a.m. Salsarita's lunch after the round. KRC is doing their show out there. I think we're doing our show out there.
It's pre-game day.
It's pre-game day, for God's sake. To register, simply email bigxscramble@yahoo.com. That's the best way to make that happen. Also, if you've been hurt in an accident or on the job, Collier Law Firm's got you covered. Tony Collier and the crew over there, they've all got the insurance defense backgrounds. Tony, lifelong Cards fan, big-time season ticket holder. He's over the moon excited for U of L football. I was talking to his whole family at the 10-year Collier anniversary celebration, and they are diehard Louisville fans, big-time Jeff Brom fans. These guys aren't posers. A lot of people out there, they'll act like they're directly related to U of L. They're directly related to the city, and the reality is they're just trying to leech off your fandom and get your money. The Collier Law Firm, the whole crew over there, especially Tony, they are the genuine artifact. They are big-time, lifelong Louisvillians and lifelong Louisville fans. But more importantly than that, they all have insurance defense backgrounds. They got the other team's playbook. They know how to use it. And once they get you the money that you need for your recovery, they're going to make sure that you keep that money, which is why their attorney fees start at just 25%. CollierLawFirm.com is the website. COLYER Law Firm. 502-736-8141 is the phone number. Hurt in an accident, hurt on the job, Collier Law Firm. Couple of nuggets to get to before we go back to you guys on the Game Day Men's Health text line. One, we mentioned in passing yesterday that Tennessee has switched back from Nike to Adidas. They've been a Nike school for the past 12 years. Their new deal with Adidas, Roman, features a multi-million-dollar NIL component. Essentially, Adidas can just pay Tennessee players directly. There's no sort of under-the-table type deal. We've known for years and years and years that Nike and Adidas like to funnel players to their specific schools and then sign them to contracts once they become professionals. Now, you're signing kids out of high school. We had this happen with Michael Brown. But Adidas is they've got in their contract a multi-million-dollar NIL component. This will be a sign of things to come. The arms race is on. Expect Nike to start countering with some of their deals. Expect Adidas to restructure their deals with certain schools like Louisville, like Kansas, like whoever, and add this into their fresh deals. But this is going to be a thing moving forward. And it's legal now. The S&P ratings, Bill Connolly does a great job over there at ESPN. His system has spit out its final rankings before the 2025 football season. It's got Louisville at number 24. I'm good with that.
I'm okay with it.
It's run a bunch of simulations. It says its average win total is at 8.1. So you're looking at like an 8-4, 9-3 type season, which puts them at number 24 overall. They're just behind Indiana. They're just ahead of Iowa. They are the same system. I've been blown away by the preseason Illinois love, Roman. They're a top 10 team in a lot of these rankings. They went 10-3 last year. I get it. But Bill Connolly's, the S&P's got him at 27. It also bears repeating. Well, I said it bears repeating. I don't think we've ever said this, so we're not really repeating it. Do you know how many times in the history of the program Illinois has won double-digit games in back-to-back seasons?
One other time?
0 other times. It's never happened before. Illinois football has never won 10 games in consecutive seasons. If you're looking for a sexy under to bet, the Illini under is staring you directly in the face, begging you to bet on it. Take it. Other things happening. Did you see that Sebastian Telfair?
Yes.
Is asking for a pardon from Donald Trump.
Yes.
For a 6-month prison sentence. I've always said, longtime listeners of the show, or other iterations of the show know that I blame everything bad that's happened to Louisville basketball in the past 20-plus years on Sebastian Telfair. I've always said it goes all the way to the top. Now it really goes all the way to the top. He's going all the way to the presidency to try and have a 6-month prison sentence pardoned. Keep in mind,
Can't imagine this will work.
no. He also says Terrence Williams needs to be freed from jail. This guy scammed the healthcare system during COVID. He got off on those healthcare fraud charges with a suspended sentence, and then he violated his probation by not showing up to court and then not showing up to his court-ordered community service. That's the reason why he's going to jail. He's not going to jail because of the actual healthcare fraud that he committed. He's going to jail because he violated the terms of his probation after he got his sentence suspended. All he had to do was go to court and do his community service, and he wouldn't have to go to jail.
Yeah, he would have been fine.
And now he's got 6 months, and he's like, Trump, get me out of here. I got kids. Maybe think about the kids when you're not showing up to court and you're not showing up to pick up trash on the side of the road. This guy. For those who don't know what I'm talking about either, this guy strung us along. If you watch Through the Fire, the documentary about his senior season, you realize he had no intention of playing at Louisville. He didn't know it. He told Rick Pitino, yeah, I'm coming. Yeah, I'm coming. Because Rick Pitino thinks he's getting the best point guard out of New York City, he doesn't recruit Rajon Rondo the way that he should. When he starts to recruit Rondo, once he realizes that Telfair's stringing him along and he's never going to play college basketball, Rondo, understandably, has had his pride hurt. So he's like, well, to hell with that. I don't want to be your second choice. I'm the best point guard in the history of Oak Hill Academy. I'm going to go to Kentucky. So he goes to Kentucky. We're left without a point guard in the 2003 recruiting class. So what do we have to do the next year? We got to recruit a point guard. Who do we go after? A little-known point guard from the state of California by the name of Andre McGee. If Telfair wasn't such a B, or he just came and played for us like he said he was, we don't know the name Andre McGee. He probably goes to like San Diego State, maybe Cal, UNLV, somewhere out there, and he's their problem. We never have Andre McGee. We've won 34 national championships. Don't check me on that math. Rick Pitino's still here. Everybody's happy. The city of Louisville's thriving. We have an NFL team with a stadium on the waterfront. We've won a couple of Super Bowls. This is all Sebastian Telfair's fault. I don't think 6 months is enough. 60 years. Throw away the key. Get him out of my face. This goes all the way to the top. Ridiculous. Asking Donald. This guy's an absolute clown. And I say that not jokingly. He is an absolute clown. Chucky Hepburn, in case you're interested, is hosting an autograph session tonight. It's about to start at 5 o'clock, but if you're worried about, can I make it in time? Fear not. It's lasting until 8 o'clock. It's going down at the Capsule, which is located at 110 Logan Street. If you just want to get a picture with Chucky, photos are free. You can get a photo for no charge. Autographs are anywhere from $25 to $50, depending on the item that you bring. But Chucky will be there from 5 to 8. Go visit him tonight. Tell him how much he meant to you as a fan. Do you see him popping up and showing up at the like that little girl's birthday party?
Yeah, that was cool.
Chucky's the man. I mean,
Shot some hoops with her after that.
The coolest guy in the entire world. Last thing I want to talk about. One of the ongoing conversations that's going to take place this year is, and I know it's people like, well, you can't look ahead. We're going to look ahead a little bit. It's just the nature of being a fan. Who's going to be the quarterback for Louisville in 2026? And more specifically, does Louisville go back into the portal for a fourth straight year, or do they finally hand the reins to somebody that they've recruited and developed over the past 3 seasons? When it comes to that conversation, I feel like all eyes are on Deuce Adams at this point. He's a guy I will keep talking about this. I've been saying this for 2 years. The staff loves this kid. They loved him when they first signed him. They loved him when they were recruiting him. They've loved what they've seen from him in his first year and a half as an actual Cardinal. He's been now in the program for over a year, and it sounds like he's making significant strides. He was notable during the open practices for hitting on a bunch of deep balls. People recognize his arm strength. And Brian Brom, yesterday during his media availability after the scrimmage, was asked about, that battle for the number 2 spot between probably Brady Allen and Deuce Adams. You've also got true freshman Mason Mims there. And he said, we've got a good backup battle going. Brady's been in our system quite a bit. Deuce has been here a while. Those guys both know the system, kind of implying that those guys have a leg up over Mason Mims, which you would expect. But Deuce Adams was asked specifically about, his progression. And he said, I feel much more comfortable in the system, and I'm feeling more confident going out there and making plays. Last fall camp, I came in the summer, so I was still getting used to everything, getting used to college, getting used to the playbook, but I definitely feel more at ease now in this offense. I feel like I've matured a lot. I've been more locked in on the things that I need to be locked in on, just spending extra time up here in the film room and being more locked in on my playbook and learning how to operate at a high level has been big for me, especially watching Tyler last year and just seeing how he went about things. Now seeing Miller, watching everybody, watching Brady, watching our other quarterbacks, just taking it piece by piece and putting them into my game and my situation and just going about that way. Brian said about Deuce can move around a little bit. He's done a good job of picking up the offense. I think he does a little extra dynamic. I think he has a little extra dynamic of being able to move out of the pocket and do a little bit in the run game stuff if you need to, but he can throw. We're chopped up, the quote is, he can throw the football. He can get it down the field. He's able to push the ball vertically, which is good to see. If you asked me right now, each of the last 2 years, I've said next year's starting quarterback's not on the roster. And I've maintained that stance throughout the season, and it's wound up being the case. If you asked me right now, I don't think it's a done deal by any stretch of the imagination. I think next year's quarterback is on the roster as of this moment. Things can change, and obviously it's going to be tough if Miller Moss comes in and leads us to a fantastic season. If you're Jeff and Brian, it's sort of hard at that point to say, look, we've had 3 pretty damn good years with 3 transfer portal quarterbacks. We have become an attractive option for anybody who's looking to elevate their game, especially at the quarterback position. We may have guys that could take a pay cut to come here and play quarterback for us at this point. Why don't we just keep the good times rolling? But I think ideally for both those guys, I think in their perfect world, they give Deuce Adams the ball next season. And one, it's a good thing, obviously, if you feel like he's the next big quarterback in college football. 2, it's huge for your roster building ability if you're able to make him the guy. Because we're assuming that he will have played sparingly this season. That's the hope. You hope Miller Moss stays healthy for the full year, so you get glimpses of him in a backup role or maybe third-string role. If that's the case, you don't have to give him a gigantic NIL deal, or at least what you would give a proven starter at the power conference level. And that allows you to go out there, maybe bring back Isaac Brown or Duke Watson, ideally both. Go out there and get some weapons at wide receiver when Lacey and Bell are both gone, and also have some extra money to spend on rebulking your defense up. So I think that would be a perfect scenario for Louisville moving into next year. But now if you go through this entire season, you watch Deuce practice the whole year, you give him some actual on-field reps, and he just doesn't have it yet or it just isn't there yet, then you got to do what you got to do in the portal. But if I'm guessing that Deuce Adams is your starting quarterback next season.
I feel like they still go to the portal, even if they feel that way, Mike.
You could definitely be right.
I feel like they go if they do trust them, believe that he'll be ready by some point at the end of the season for next year. I bet they still go get like a sophomore in the group of 5 who had maybe 1 or 2 good games against some power type of teams, but overall just a younger kid who's trying to get to this level just to compete and to ensure that you've got someone who actually has been out there for multiple reps and not someone who hasn't figured it out yet. I'd be surprised if they don't bring a quarterback into the transfer portal next year, but I also don't think it's going to be some big name that you spend a lot of money on either.
So you think they're bringing in a guy that
to compete, who's had the starting experience, just in case.
So you think that they're bringing in the equivalent of like Florida bringing in Harrison Bailey, from us last year, a guy who maybe could be the starter, but ideally you're bringing in to be a backup.
Yes,
it's kind of a safety net.
But like
I can see that happening.
Somewhere like that he played if Harrison Bailey kind of skill set started at like a James Madison or something.
The problem with that, I think, is and you may be totally right. But the problem with that is you're going to have to sell that kid that you think he's going to be the starter. Because if you've got the quarterback from a group of 5 school that put up good numbers and now is looking to prove it at the power conference level.
Some low power conference team would start him.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have other schools that are out there saying, hey, look at our roster. We're bringing you in here to be the starter.
Yeah.
They're not. Like they want you to go out there and earn it. And in the back of their minds, they want their guy that's been there for 2 full years to win that job. You're basically starting from behind. Now, if it's a quarterback who's played sparingly, like maybe it's a quarterback who's got the Miller Moss situation where they started games at Ball State and then eventually got benched.
And is younger, probably.
Yeah, you could bring that guy in probably on the cheap and sell him on the idea of whether you start or not, we're going to improve you. We're going to get the most out of you. And, like, you'll have a chance to win the job. Like, we think this guy's pretty good, but we don't know for sure. You're either going to be number 1 or number 2, and we're going to give you a healthy opportunity to be done. I think you can make that pitch easier to a player like that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Than you can a guy who's done, like, really well and is now looking to take a gigantic step up in competition. Or, I mean, you could maybe sell that to a power conference backup who was like a 4-star coming out of high school and wants a chance to compete at Louisville and feels like he can beat out Deuce Adams. Either way, I feel like you're not going to – you don't want to spend Tyler Shuck, Miller Moss, Jack Plummer type money on whoever you're bringing in if you feel like Deuce Adams is probably going to be the guy. But I think it's going to be fascinating. And I think we'll get – they'll speak more on this as the season goes on. And if you're Jeff and Brian and you feel like you're watching Deuce Adams progress and you're like, dude, this guy's got a cannon. He's a dual-threat quarterback. I feel like you kind of want to keep things mum. This is the way of the world. You want to play him as little as you have to during this season, and you want to not give glowing quotes out during the year. Like you don't want people to know what he's capable of.
And ideally, you want to retain him for 2027 too. If he is that starter that you can be, if you can retain him again, and then you've got Briggs Cherry right under him, learning, being ready to take over the reins when Deuce moves on, that'd be cool. It'd be cool. You'd save money. You don't have to worry about a big question mark at your most important position every year.
This is the line that you have to walk now. You've got to let the kid know that you think he's really talented and really good and what your plans are for him moving forward without letting the rest of the world know. Because if you're not saying really positive things about him publicly, he may be like, to hell with this. Like, I'm going somewhere else. You got to let him know privately. Like, we got big plans for you, but if you could just keep that on the low. And then he may be like, well, you're keeping it on the low because you don't want to pay me. So it's everything about this job now is harder than it was 5 years ago. Let's take a break. When we come back, final segment of the day. We'll get to you guys on the Game Day Men's Health text line. We'll look ahead to the night that we'll be in sports, and then we'll call it a day. It's the Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, here on the Big X. all about this. It's the 5 o'clock hour of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450, 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. United Mechanical, Louisville's MVP for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration services. Give them a call, 502-339-1133. On the air here for another 25 minutes, then we'll hand things over to Roman Kelly for Roman's recap. I noticed you did not bring up how your Big X Big Bets do. Is one to assume that means that they did not go 3-0 last night?
No, they went 2-1 last night.
That's 2-1. Look, we'll take a winning night.
We didn't really do the pretty much saving like how the run-in goes for the recap show. I didn't do the word of the day, the Big X Big Bets, or our sports talk. We were talking with Will Wigginton the whole time. He did his official football season prediction.
What do you say?
His write-up on the LouisvillePost.com that he does. 11-1, Mike.
Whoa, Will.
Yeah, he said. I mean, he had said it on my show. I think he had even said it on your show. He was kind of in the 9-win realm. And after more analyzing, more
this is what happens,
research.
Oh, this is the classic August.
Well, I guess when writing, he doesn't do things for clicks, right? He does it fully for the sake of enjoying writing and enjoying his passion of Louisville sports. But he got himself to 11-1 through his research. So had him on, talked about that for a bit, and pretty much took the entirety of the show. So we'll get into the Big X Big Bets, word of the day, tonight's bets, all that in the Romans recap show.
Nice. Usually this time of year is just good for like one bump in victories for most people. Will is like, I'm going 9-3 to 11-1. I love it. You see, people keep tagging us in this freshman orientation BS that Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I mean, I will never understand how recruits go to school there.
You tried to wish this upon me. And cool, Dad.
It's like they're the only school. You know, you'll watch clips of this is the Rose Bowl from 1912. And you got they only had male cheerleaders out there. And they all have this weird gait. Like the way that they walk is very strange. And they're all like leaning back and doing these like crazy, awkward cheers. And they're throwing up the pom-poms in a weird way. It's like Texas A&M is the only school that decided for the last 100 years, we're going to keep that. We're going to keep doing that sort of thing. And it's the nerdiest bleep I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't get how if you're a 5-star basketball or football player, you can agree to do this. I would rather go anywhere else in the world. I'd rather play in the MAC than go to Texas A&M, even with that money. There's no amount of money that could get me to participate in that. It's ridiculous. These losers are – it's not just that they're losers. It's weird. It's super weird. It feels very cultish, and there's nothing about it that I trust. I know we have to get to the text line. Roman, this is the second day of Virginia being in big kid school. I am drowning when it comes to – I've got 3 now – I've got like 5 emails that I've got to keep track of. I've got a Big X email that I check very sparingly that I need to check more. I've got the classic MikeRuth5@AOL.com, which somebody straight up laughed at me when we're talking about doing a business partnership. And she was messaging me the other day. She's like, where can I send this? And she was like, oh, my God. I was like, stop. I've got that. Now we have a Rutherford family email address that we've got just for the school stuff. And we get a billion school emails. And then with a new job that I've got at Vox with college basketball, they made me have a college basketball email, a Vox Media email that I've got to keep track of for all these changes happening to the sites. And all. I'm drowning now.
I had a 4-email lifestyle kind of at one point. I've got it back down. Got it back down to 2. More than 2 is too much.
I've got different apps for the different schools now. Virginia's got our first cheerleading practice today. We've got 75 messages from that. I'm sure I'll get it under control at some point. But right now, this is just, it's way too much. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. It's terrible. We have one final, I believe, from the MLB. The Cubs fan Brian, your team is losing to the Blue Jays. Blue Jays lead the Cubs 2-1. Orioles lead the Mariners 5-2. Light slate tonight. Not a lot to gamble on as it's get-out-of-town day for a lot of teams, or yesterday was, I guess. Big slate tomorrow, though. We'll get back at it. Slim pickings for Roman to gamble on, but I'm sure he'll give you some winners coming up here shortly. Game day.
We were wrong about Texas, Mike.
What do you mean?
In the Little League Baseball World Series.
Oh, did they lose?
Fairfield, Connecticut got them 1-0. 1-0.
Didn't get enough of those 15-year-olds on the team. All the 14-year-olds in Connecticut now.
They need more kids who can hit dingers.
Not enough beef. 502-414. I don't know what that was. 1450 is the text line. We have a lot of text to get to. Let's get to it. Texture says, tomorrow the NCAA is supposed to hand out punishment for the Michigan sign stealing scandal. Even though I think it's stupid, I'm hoping they cause Michigan to vacate wins in their championship year so that they will appeal or sue the NCAA to set a precedent to reverse or our own vacated championship records. Either way, I think sign stealing was much more of a competitive advantage than strippers in the dorm that ran off recruits, and it gives the opening to restore our records. I'm hoping the same thing. Now, they very clearly tried to have this whole thing gone without doing anything to Michigan football. Because, again, it bears repeating. I know we talk about it in the show. Second time I said bears repeating today. I'm sorry. The NCAA has no control over the college football playoff. It is not technically an NCAA championship. The men's and women's basketball tournaments are an NCAA tournament. That's why they're referred to as the NCAA men's basketball tournament, and the CFP isn't the NCAA football tournament. It's the college football playoff. So they'll have a much harder time taking anything away from Michigan than they did taking something away from us. That being said, the fact that Michigan initially at least got off scot-free from a series of incidents that very clearly gave them an advantage on the field on their way to a national title, and we had a championship taken away for things that gave us absolutely zero on-court advantage. Keep that in mind. Remember, forever, no player ever committed to us because of those women. None. The only recruits in that book, they all went different places. The only active players who were involved in those parties were already members of the Louisville basketball team. We received no competitive advantage from any of the things that took place. They were gross.
No, Mike, sex makes you better. That's what they're saying.
I was about to make a very crude joke that I'm glad I held back on. I hope Michigan has its title taken away.
I agree with the Texans that it could potentially help us out, too.
It could. It absolutely could benefit us. Because if Michigan's like, hey, you want to go to court in the end, bold prediction, the NCAA absolutely does not go after Michigan's records. Because if Michigan does go to court, and they're a big school with a lot of very wealthy alumni, a lot of very wealthy lawyers, they'll lose. And Michigan will get its title right back. So I don't think the NCAA touches it, but I would love it if they did. Texture says, the audio sounds better than it ever has. Do not change.
Good.
Any settings ever again. Well, that's not going to happen. Scooch is just going to come in here and pee all over the big board or something. Something always happens, right, when it feels like we get it. I'll say this, though. You know, radio. If you listen to sports radio across the city, you've known for a long time that sports radio stations really struggle with technical difficulties. It's part of the game. It's a lot of equipment. There's not a lot of money funding this thing. We've had a pretty good run around here. I say this while knocking on all of the wood in the studio. We've had very few technical difficulties over the last year and a half or so. And that comes after we were off the air, I feel like, more times than not the first year or so. Roman, I'll give you full credit for this. You just MacGyvered this whole place up.
I did. Figured it all out.
Just figured it all out. Now we're sounding great. Dave, teacher from Jeffersonville, said, I'm exhausted, but I'm going to see Superman again, so it's okay. I wish it was Friday. Geez, OPs. One day away. Apparently my daughter's like in a stupor, getting home from her first full day of kindergarten. She's like, Jesus, these 7:45 to 2:45 days are going to be the death of me. Boney Dumper said, I've never, if I read Boney Dumper once without laughing, that's how you know I'm past my prime. Would you go to midfield during halftime of the Governor's Cup and let Mark Stoops grind on you 8th grade Catholic mixer style if it guaranteed that Louisville makes the CFP? Yeah. I mean, okay.
I'd grind on him, maybe.
I think that's worse.
Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the position of dominance, though.
Yeah, but that's how you're asserting your dominance. That's how you're choosing to assert your dominance, is grinding on Mark Stoops.
Oh, wait, yeah. Grind on me, like, so I'm behind him.
I'd rather be the victim in all
this.
Like,
you're the one receiving the dance here in this situation. Okay, yeah.
Okay, does the stadium know what's happening? Do they know the sacrifice that we're making? If they do, then I think it's a no-brainer. If they don't, if it's just, hey, is that Mike Rutherford? Hey, what's Mark's? Oh, my God, what's happening right now? Then, I mean, I'd be tainted for life.
They know. Actually, no. This is probably the stipulation, is that they don't get to know Mike.
So we've got to be secret heroes.
You're a streaker.
Okay, and then just so happened to, can I wear a mask? I would do this, but I would prefer if people knew that I was sacrificing my dignity in order to get Louisville to the college football playoff. What if you? What if
Would you do this? Except like you have to demand him to grind on you, and it's a field streaking situation.
Well, no. I'm not naked and demanding Mark Stoops to grind on me.
Whoa, where'd the nakedness come
You
from?
said field streaking.
Well,
That's what streaking is.
I mean pitch evading.
Okay, that's a little bit different. If I'm clothed, it makes it better. I'd be so pissed if I did this. It like ruined my whole career, and then we make the playoff and just get blown out by Boise State the first game. It's like we play somebody not that good. It's like Boise State scores again, 52 to. I'm in the corner just crying. Just huddled up. My wife can't look at me in the same way ever again. Texture says Chris Bell crossing route tore up Georgia Tech last year and hit that second gear on the one he scored on. Then it seems like every game he has that down the sideline one-arm cradle catch. He did it against UK too. Texture says Chris Bell reminds me of a Jamari Staples. I think he can be better than Jamari Staples, and Jamari Staples was very good while he was here. Texture says Lazard guy here. What's up, Lazard guy? Come on, Tex Groove. Do you have this? There it is. Yep. Bell really turned it on in the second half of last year. He looked incredible against the kid from Kentucky. I'm expecting that to carry over into the season, and I'm pumped to see it. And oh yeah, Lacey, LOL, we're going to score a lot of points. Texture says Colin Lacey is going to be wide receiver number 1, and it won't be close. You're doing that thing that I don't like, though. It's fine if you have this opinion. I think there's definitely, I think I've said it. I think Colin Lacey's got a chance to be our leader in catches and maybe receiving yards. You can't do the it won't be close thing. This is one of my pet peeves. People talk about things that are unquestionably close, and they feel the need to add the and it's not close at the end of it. I hate it. I really don't like it.
Me neither. It always comes typically when it's something very close, too.
It's always something like that.
I get the sake of the trying to add intensity to your take.
Russ Smith was better than Peyton Siva. And it's not close. It's very close, okay? That's your opinion. You don't need to add that. Texas, I've got to know Mike's opinion of the KFC Murder Chick. Okay, so I listened to a KFC Murder Chick song last night. I love local artists. I'll just say it's not for me. Can I just leave it at that?
That's fair.
I support them. I'll help them out in any way that I can.
Shouldn't play it here, you're saying.
It's not for me. It may be for other people. I don't know about Shrub or Shrump or whatever the the other band was that was on there. I'll check them out later. Riddler said my league that I chose was Clemson, FSU, Notre Dame, Miami, Louisville, UNC, Duke, Kansas, UConn, Baylor, Houston, Texas Tech, Arizona, Boise State.
Pretty much combined ours two.
Yeah. I didn't take UConn or Boise, but I think the other ones, I had all those other ones. Texter says, Parksy boy here. Mike, y'all talking about getting ripped by coaches on yesterday's show, awakened to fond memory. We had a Saturday doubleheader. It was early, cold, dreary, and we came out flat, so coach threatened to make us run if we didn't run rule this team. We picked it up, and we ended up winning 9-0, but we didn't run rule them. Coach makes us run 15 polls in between games. Then he benches 2/3 of the starting lineup, and we ended up losing the next game. Thanks, Coach. That sure showed us. I mean, youth coaches are some of the most. It's just the most of them are good. Some of them are some of the most ridiculous people of all time. Congratulations on that loss. Hope you got what you wanted out of it. Texter says, by the way, producer Keith texted me the picture of the beefy layer burrito up the butt, which I did not ask for. It did not go all the way up there, but it is. In his words, I'll use producer Keith's words, he froze it. Stuck in there. Texas, I don't think you want to call your conference of champions the COC unless you're okay with some people calling it I actually did say that word. That league. That's the whole point.
The Coke League.
Yeah. We're bringing the COC. Texas, maybe the Beefy 5 situation is like a human centipede thing. It's not. Texas, just the tip, Mike. That guy got more than just the tip in there. Texas, Mike, do you not know what a Freudian slip is? I absolutely know what a Freudian slip is. Texter says, after I left the beach walking back to the apartment, I passed the sign that said Sesame Street, and it reminded me of my favorite TV show, Sesame Street. It's brilliant. John Calipari. Texas, hey, Mike and Roman, considering how big of a fan you all are of the Lions and Saints, would either of you consider joining their cheerleading squad? I don't think I can make the team.
Probably wouldn't make the team either.
No.
But if they asked me to be on the team,
I would say no.
If it paid well,
I had a friend who was
I could do it.
So I had a friend who was a Bengals cheerleader. It does not pay well. It does not pay well. It's more. I mean, sometimes they don't even pay at all. It's more about just for a lot of these girls, like making the team is the like they want to be on the team, and so they know they don't have to pay. Like it's not like a full-time job for any of these ladies. You get paid very little to be on the team, but you get to be on posters, calendars, make money that way. You can do appearances, but your actual pay from the team is not great.
You get cheered for.
You do get cheered for. You also get some creepy interactions.
Yeah.
Texas renamed the Yum Center the Texas Roadhouse Center. Would that be better?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Roadhouse. That kind of works. Roadhouse. Texas says, should we not be wearing undershirts? Depends. The undershirt under the polo, I don't like the look anymore. I think it's a little bit outdated. I think you just got to go bare.
Like the regular tee?
Yeah.
I only do that with a dress shirt.
That used to be my... Yeah, that's kind of how I am now, too. Texter says, all good, Roman. I think I went through all 4 years of Saint... Is this X? With Sperry's, Nike socks, and khakis.
Yeah, but that's like... The shoes were part of the handful of shoes you were allowed to wear, so it made more sense there. We could wear whatever, and that's still what we were choosing to wear.
Texas, I was at a party when a friend made fun of me for wearing carpenter jeans. I blame my wife. I had no idea that those went out of style. My wife and I have fights about stuff that she's like, I'm like, I don't need to wear what the 20-year-olds are wearing, but I also need to wear stuff that is appropriate for my age.
That's a funny text because carpenter jeans are like the new craze right now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Texas says, I think Sivas jersey should be retired. 2-time Big East tourney MVP, 2 Final Fours, 1 natty. Thoughts? Never.
I agree.
I don't think he was ever even. The thing was, like, Russ retired. He was never even Conference Player of the Year because his senior year, I think Sean Kilpatrick or Shabazz Napier got it over him.
Oh, that would make sense.
Which is crazy. 3 of the 5 first-team All-Americans were from the
Kilpatrick.
AAC. Oh, I did not like him either. I think you make a case for Siva, but he does not fit the criteria that U of L has, so it's kind of a moot point anyway. Texas Mike, I saw an interesting hot take online the other day that changed my view. The hot take was that the 2014 basketball team was a bit more overrated than we remember, considering we've all said that they would have repeated easily if not for that fluke Kentucky game. I checked the record. I don't think they would easily have won. But I went back. The resume of that team was underwhelming outside of the UConn wins, which they were a 9 seed. Well, they were an 8 seed. Actually, they were a 7 seed in 2014 and not that good before the tournament. We even got swept by a Josh Pastner coached Memphis team. We didn't really beat many tournament teams, and we were in a mediocre AAC compared to the Big East that we had been in. I get your point about the resume. That team did not take advantage of the best games in their schedule. They had a weak schedule. The AAC was good at the top. We did also beat a top 5 Cincinnati team, which you're overlooking. We beat them twice. That was very, very good. The thing with that team is they just beat the crap out of the average to below average teams in the schedule. So the computer rankings love them.
That defense was ridiculous.
Defense was absurd. They've got a bunch of good players. I mean, we finished that season on KenPom as the number 1 team in the country by a fairly wide margin. UConn, which won the national title, was number 15. Arizona was number 2. We only lost 6 games the whole season. And the quality wins were low because the schedule, it's all we would afford. We were stuck in purgatory in the AAC for that one season. We didn't play well against Memphis, but we did crush UConn 3 times. We beat Cincinnati, who was a top 5 team, once, and then lost to them in a close game the other time. We also had a shootout with North Carolina early in the year, but the schedule it sucked. It was bad. And I understand both ways. The computers loved us, but we did not show on the floor enough what the computers saw. Texas says, speaking of kids who would mash their lunch up, one day we had a kid at our table smash everything into his milk carton and drink it. I can't explain it to this day.
There's always a couple kids.
There were always a couple kids like that, and I just wanted to stay away from them. That's just too gross. Texas, hey, Mike. Newport, Rhode Island, Tom here. What's up, Newport Tom? If there were a magic time portal where you could bring back any former running back duo from U of L football history to play in this upcoming season, would you choose a combo from the past or keep Isaac Brown and Duke Watson? This is a great question. I wish we'd gotten to this earlier. He said notable combos: Jaws and Garendo 2013, Brown Perry 2013, Smith and Allen, Bush and Shelton, Shout Lionel Gates in 2004. This is, some of those were more proven commodities by the time that they got. I mean, my initial thought was Mike Bush and Eric Shelton. But I think I would go with our guys right now.
I think I would too. With what Duke Watson just did in that limited time before we actually realized what he truly was, knowing that he's going to be getting more than double of the snaps that he got last year, Mike. Well, maybe not more than double, but a lot more. And he was getting that many yards per carry.
I want to see what these guys can do.
They have the chance to be the best backfield in the nation, statistically. So,
Texas said, I had a close friend get married on the U of L UK game this year. I was in the wedding, so I didn't check the score at all. But during his best man speech, I was staring at the phone the whole time, leading into and after his speech. I thought it was ridiculous, but he did attend. The only time that I was in this situation, it was the speaking of the AAC, it was Charlie Strong's last year when we had such a good team and we had such a weak schedule, but we had North Carolina coming to Cardinal Stadium, and it was a big deal. So this was, I guess 2013 or 2012. And this was the biggest non-conference game we had. We finally got an ACC team to come play us. And as we're getting ready to go out into the chapel for the wedding, we're up 33 to 7. We're killing these dudes. And then once the ceremony's over, North Carolina's making this furious comeback. And if you remember, it came down to the last play. Carolina's driving. We're up by 3. And we're doing family and bridal party, wedding party pictures in the church. And I think the bride's family's taking pictures. I'm staring at my phone. And Anthony, who's the president, Andrew Johnson, breaks up a pass in the end zone. And they're taking the bride's family's up there. And I'm like, come on! In front of everybody, fist bumping. That was the only time, because I was terrified we were going to lose. But that was the only time that I was in that dire of a situation. Texas, my girlfriend and I were having a discussion. Would you rather have the last name Farter or Pooper, as in Mike Farter or Mike Pooper?
Pooper.
I think it's Pooper. You would think it would be Farter because Farter's the lesser of the two evils. But I feel like Farter, for whatever reason, just seems like people, it's less just ridiculous. You got to go full ridiculous with this last name. Give me Pooper, Mike Pooper. Little Number said, I'm in an argument now with friends about what is a reasonable, come on, Tex Groove. You see this?
Nope.
What is a reasonable amount of foods to dislike before you are considered a picky eater? We have so many texts that we're just not going to get to.
It depends on how broad. If you're saying, I don't like vegetables, I don't like this, I don't like fish.
If you'll go to a restaurant and you'll only order a burger, regardless of where you are, then you're a picky eater.
I agree.
Texture says, I believe Texture is just collapsing here. We've got a million texts to get to in 2 minutes. We're not going to get to all these texts. I'm sorry. I did not realize that we had all these. I believe one of the, generally speaking, weddings themselves are pretty selfish to the bride and groom. So to call someone else selfish because they have to not do something that they love to do so they can come to your wedding, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, I kind of disagree. Texas said, did Sebastian Telfair work for UK football in 2021? Maybe. Texas, sorry if you mentioned this already. Danny Cannell says Louisville football is going to make the college football playoff. He's got us playing Georgia, Roman, in the first round.
I'm mad at that.
I don't care who we play. Just get me in the playoff. Texas says, why couldn't Miller Moss be the quarterback in 2026? I believe he's out of eligibility. Right?
I thought he was a redshirt senior this year.
Yeah, he's a senior. I don't think that he played in 2021, he played in 2022, he played in 2023, he played in 2024.
Yeah, this is redshirt year. He's done.
I believe he's done. Texture says, imagine if Moss had a good year and he's a semi-high draft pick, you'll have quarterbacks beating down the door. I mean, that's a thing. It could definitely help us in the portal. Mike, why are you being so judgmental about Texas A&M? I can't read. It's just not loading. They're just not loading. Next texter said, Mike, would you attend BYU before Texas A&M? No. Why are you being so judgmental about Texas? Aren't you always saying you do you? Yeah, but there's a limit. There's absolutely a limit. All right, we're going to get out of here. I got Romans recap up next. I'll get to some of these texts on tomorrow's show. Apologies for not planning the show out well enough. Buying my time. It's okay. Recap with Roman is up next. I'm back tomorrow at 2:30. We'll be at Next Level Gun Range. Get ready for a show. Maybe. I'll talk to you then. Go Cards.
Go Cards.
Show was brought to you by United Mechanical.